All right, everybody, welcome to the live stream. I had no idea. That it was spelled wrong. That's what I get for using AI to make my thumbnail. Actually, it just made the image part and then I threw in my picture into it. So I don't know how I didn't notice that. How's everybody doing? So can you guys see? I've never tried this before. Can you guys see the subscriber count on the screen? Hopefully I did that right. Should be 499, 958 right now. So we're about 42 away. Got a bunch of stuff planned I want to talk about, and I've got a video ready to show you guys when we hit it. So hopefully we do hit it during the stream. And of course, we're going to take your questions during all of this, and I'm going to share some things that are coming for the future. And there goes everybody unsubscribing. That's how it goes. So if you didn't see me talking about this already, back in May of 2021 was when I hit 100,000 subscribers. And we did a live stream with a count just like this, where we were like counting down to 100,000. Because 100,000, if you're not familiar with YouTube, 100,000 is like a big deal in the YouTube world, because that's when you get one of these. That's when you get your first your play button, which mine needs cleaned off a little bit because it's 4 years old now. And then you don't get another one until you hit 1 million. So yeah, so it was like a big deal. We were streaming, and every time we got within about 10 of 100,000, a bunch of people would unsubscribe to keep it from hitting 100,000. But then eventually, like once we actually hit the 100,000, then everybody resubscribed, and it went real far, real fast. But also, that was a time when I was growing really fast too. In fact, some statistics for you before we get into some Q&A and taking a look at your quotes and things like that. And I'm starring some of your questions so I can get to those. Some stats for you. So my first reaction video on Vlogging Through History went up in December of 2020. I actually created the channel in the summer of 2020, which is right around the time my daughter hit 100,000 subscribers on her channel. I had been doing gaming for about 4 years on YouTube, but only had like 10,000, 15,000 subscribers, something like that. I created Vlogging Through History in the summer of 2020, but didn't start making content until December of 2020. And I started doing reactions because that's when we were getting into COVID and all that stuff, and couldn't travel. So, but it took off like right away. It started with some Sabaton reactions. I did a couple of, I did an alternate history hub reaction. Of course, somebody had to get us to 969. There we go, 970. Okay, this is happening fast. But I hit 100,000 in May 2021. So a little over 4 years ago. We hit 200,000 in September of 2021. So the first 200,000 happened in the span of like 9 months on the channel. It took another 7 months to hit 300,000 in May of 2022. So think about that. That was over 3 years ago when we hit 300,000. So it's been a grind since then. 400,000 happened in December of 2023. So almost 2 years ago, we hit 400,000. So it's been some work to get that last 100,000, but that's how it goes sometimes. And you never know when your channel is going to take off. My friend JD from the History Underground, he and I actually met in May of 2021, the very week that we both went over 100,000. We went over 100,000 like the same week. And that was when we met. And then I was actually ahead of him. I actually got to 300,000, I think like a month or two before him. But then he did this series from Bavaria that was amazing, and it took off. And now he's at 750, and I can't wait for him to be celebrating 1 million. It's going to be awesome. But holy cow, here we go, 977. I do have a special video I'm going to show you guys when we hit holy cow, what's going on, guys? This is nuts. But 500,000 is more than the entire population of Iceland. I like that. That's awesome. Metatron, dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, my friend, and congratulations to you on just hitting 1 million. And we are going to collaborate at some point. In fact, I was over near where Metatron lives not too long ago, and I was in and out so fast, didn't have time. But we are going to connect. We are definitely going to do something together. I'm a huge fan of Metatron's channel, and I love what you're doing. And thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And we're going to talk more about just some of the unexpected things that have happened because of this channel that I never thought would happen, that have been unexpected blessings of this. But yeah, let's take a look at, I like this. Random person says, subscribe harder, guys. Here we go. Everybody's unsubscribing now. We're going to play the game. I love it. All right. So I'll get to this question. We'll get to the serious questions after we hit 500. Because yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about that. New patron, Isaac, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Oh man, Liv Tyler gonna be. I wish Liv Tyler was gonna be here. I love Liv Tyler. She's great. American Nerd says congratulations. Thank you so much. Zach Mills. Zach's been around for a long time, even though he's a Houston Astros fan. I still love you, Zach. Thank you for that. Since the days of History Guy Gaming. Oh my goodness. And before that, it was actually the History Guy, before even History Guy Gaming. So trust me, bro. Another great channel. Thank you so much. I love seeing my fellow YouTubers showing up for this. We're 10 away. Here we go. Have I seen 1776 the musical? I have, and I really enjoyed it. 993. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, let's do it. Don't start unsubscribing, people. Come on, let's do it. I was not expecting this to happen like 10 minutes into the stream. I thought we'd have to go a couple hours to get there. Okay. Everybody wants to be 500. Here we go. Come on, let's do it. Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys. You have no idea how much that means to me. Oh, wow. All right. As promised, hang on to your questions if you have any. I've been starring a bunch of them. But as promised, I do have a video that I did up that's going to go live on the channel as well. Holy cow. Now we're going nuts here. I love it. But here's the deal. The thing that has been most unexpected and has brought me the most joy from having this channel has been all of the people that I have met. Not only like other YouTubers, but just all of you guys. Holy cow, what's going on? This is nuts. Every person I've met, whether it's at a meetup, just randomly on a battlefield, at the top of St. Paul's Cathedral, where the guy who was working at the cathedral knew me, in line behind me at Westminster Abbey, in the parking lot of my hotel in Verdun, France, on my first trip to Europe. Everybody I've met it's been an unbelievable joy to me. And so I thought there was no better way for me to say thank you to the 500,000 of you, holy cow, than to just put together a little kind of, not a lot of like crazy editing video. That's really actually, it's just a photo slideshow. And it's just pictures of me with all of you, with all of the people that I have met through this opportunity, through this community that we call Vlogging Through History. So, and this video will go live, and some of our patrons and members may have already seen it because I made it available to them earlier today. But this video is just some, and what all of this has meant to me. So let's go ahead and let me pull this up for you here. Okay. Now I just got to switch the layout. There we go. Okay. You should be, let me know if you can hear the sound, guys. You should be able to hear the sound. Hi, Tom in Florida. You should be able to hear the sound for this. It's a couple of songs that relate to what's going on. Hey guys, I can't believe that we've made there's 500,000 of us. And I say us because there is no vlogging through history. There is no channel. There's no community without all of you. And when I started on this adventure with this new channel 5 years ago, I had no idea how much would come to mean to me and how many amazing lifelong friends I would make along the way. So I thought there was no better way to say thank you and to celebrate this incredible feat that we have achieved than by just looking back on all of you who have been a part of it and some of the friends I've made along the way. So hope you enjoy this little slideshow.
From the past to today, we've been riding along. Now we're 500,000 strong. Stories told, marching through the tales of old, from kings and castles, wars and strife. You brought history to life, each moment shared, a journey wide. 500,000 by your side. Raise the banner, lift it high. 500,000 voices cry. Together we are 500,000 strong.
Through every stream, through every view, the past feels close to real and true. From Rome to battles not long gone, the story always carries on.
Raise the banner, lift it high. 500,000 voices cry. Through the ages we belong. Every lesson, every strong. Raise the banner, lift it high. 500,000 voices cry. Through the ages we belong. Together we are 500,000 strong. To today, we've been riding along. Now we're 500,000 strong. Here we are, what a ride it's been. From the start, you believed back then. 500,000 voices standing by. Every view and comment lifts me high. From tales to laughs we share, you remind me daily why I'm there. Through the stories, through the years, you've given me joy, you've given me cheers. Thank you from my heart to you. 500,000 dreams come true. Together this small idea to a bigger dream. With each new story, we found our song. And with you beside me, we'll keep going strong. Thank you from my heart to you. 500,000 dreams come true. Together we built this history. This channel's alive 'cause you're with us. From the very first post to today, you've helped me find my way. It's more than numbers on a screen. It's a family. It's a dream. Thank you from my heart to you. 500,000 dreams come true. Together we built this history. This channel's alive 'cause you're with me. So here's my thanks, my truest part. 500,000 friends, you filled my heart.
All right. Thank you guys. I saw some of you saying it was lagging a little bit, and a couple people said there was an ad that popped up in the middle. I didn't have one on my end, but I'm sorry about that if that was the case. But that will be going live as soon as this stream is over. I'm going to make that video live on the channel, so you can go back and watch it when you get a chance later on. Okay, so let's get to some of your questions, because we've got 47 of them queued up here. So this one's going to take a few minutes. So let's talk about this real quick. Get this topic out of the way, because I figured this was going to come up. I actually didn't watch the Charlie Kirk Memorial. I was watching the Browns. I did watch some of the highlights of it, so I can't speak to all of it. I did say I can say something about the parts that I did see. First of all, I loved watching, kind of before it started, some of my favorite Christian music artists leading worship, guys like people like Chris Tomlin and Carrie Job, who are some of my favorites. Brandon Lake was there, I think, and some others. So I loved that. I loved that atmosphere that was set by all of that. I didn't see most of the speeches. I did see a little bit of Erica Kirk, his wife, talking about forgiveness. And I posted something about this earlier because I saw some comments from people. Number one, I saw an article that was on a major news media outlet that talked about her giving absolution to the killer. That was not what she did. And I hope folks can grasp the difference between forgiveness and pardon. As Christians, the hardest thing sometimes we have to do is to forgive somebody. But it's like a non-negotiable kind of thing as a Christian. The New Testament is very clear that our ability to be forgiven by God is directly tied to our willingness to forgive other people. So it takes a lot of Christian maturity to do that, but it's also essential. It does not, by her saying, I forgive the person who did this, that's about her heart and her soul. That is about her letting go of bitterness and anger, or at least working through that, because that's going to be a lifelong process for her. It's not like she's going to say, I forgive you, and then everything's okay now. But it's a choice that we make. But absolution is different than that. Absolution is saying, it doesn't matter. We're going to act like it didn't happen. That's not what she's doing. Forgiveness is about her heart and her soul and her relationship with God. But I guarantee you, she still is fully expecting that the shooter will answer in a court for his crimes, as he should. Those are two very distinct things. forgiveness and pardon. So anyway, and I learned that lesson a long time ago from my friends, the Scott family, whose daughter and sister was killed at Columbine. And her dad told me a long time ago, he said, listen, I made a choice to forgive those shooters. That does not mean that had they lived, I wouldn't have wanted to see them answer in court for what they did. Completely separate things. So anyway, but that said, a lot of other people were saying, well, it seemed like she didn't really mean it. She was struggling through it. Well, heck yeah, she was struggling through it. Her husband was murdered. And anybody who's been through anything remotely like that, even if you make a choice to forgive, it is the hardest thing you will ever do, to make that choice to forgive. Forgiveness is not easy when you've been wronged in a significant way, but it's so important. I've never been wronged nearly in the way that she has, but I've been wronged in my life, and I've had to make some hard choices to forgive. So beyond that, I didn't like the president choosing, like, I get that a lot of people appreciate his honesty, but I didn't like him kind of going against that theme. And I hear other people did as well, and basically saying, well, Erica chooses to forgive, but I don't want to forgive my enemies. I felt like that was out of place for what that event was about. And I wish he hadn't done that. So beyond that, I didn't see a whole lot though. So I can't really speak to the stuff I didn't see. Okay. Let's see where we at. Trust Me, Bro. Yeah, I think I looked at that one already. Thank you for that. I have seen 1776, the musical. It's been a long time. Thank you, Carter Graphical History, for some money to make up for unsubscribers. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ty S., thank you for becoming a member. Really appreciate that. John Reedy, what's going on, my friend? Never forget VTH After Dark. So a number of people have talked about having a channel called VTH After Dark, not the least of which is my sister, who you saw in a couple of the pictures in that slideshow. There was one of me and her at the Vatican, and then one of us in the snow, which was on our way to our trip to Italy. She joked about starting a channel called VTH After Dark and filming all the stuff that, like, you don't get to see. And John is referring to an incident that I think a lot of people have heard about by now, which is that there was an incident in Cassino, Italy. In Cassino, it was actually after our group tour had ended in Cassino, and we went out late that night, and there was a group, I don't know, it was 8 or 10 of us that were together in Cassino. Nice, cool little small town. Highly recommend, if you're ever in Italy, go to Cassino. It's where the Battle of Monte Cassino was fought. And we were out late, and my friend Joe from Yorkshire in England had us try this alcohol that was like, I don't know, it was like 140 proof or something. It was a ridiculously high amount of alcohol, and I didn't have that much of it. And it didn't taste like something with that much alcohol in it, but I hadn't eaten for a few hours. And the night culminated in me putting on somebody's aviator sunglasses. I don't even know whose they were. It was like midnight. I put the hood up on my hoodie. I looked like the Unabomber. And there's a Sherman tank in the center of Cassino, and I climbed on the tank, and there's a photo of me. I think it's on Instagram. That's what they refer to when they talk about VTH After Dark. It was a lot of fun. We had an amazing time on that trip. Rezio's Legacy, hey, how you doing? Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Ben Jarman, thank you so much for your membership. A show of hands, would you rather travel 1 million years into the future or 1 million years into the past? I don't know. Either one I think would end very badly based on the circumstances, but probably 1 million years into the future. Nathan Summers, try to guess where I'm from based on the clues. I bet you can't. I don't know what the other clues are. I'll do my best, Nathan. I'll watch for the clues, I guess. Hey, there's my sister. I was just talking about her. She says, I'm so proud of you. Thank you, Danielle. I love you. I appreciate that. My only sister. And if anybody could do it with me on the December, Danielle will be there. So she's going to be joining us for that one. American Nerd, if I unsubscribe and resubscribe, will that help you reach your goal? No, that's not how it works. If you unsubscribe, the number goes back down. So, but I appreciate you asking. Cliff, thank you. Your family has ties to the Salineville raid. Have an account I want to send you. Yeah. So there's a new YouTube channel, a new email address for that kind of stuff. It is admin@vthonline.com. So send me the email there. It's admin@vthonline.com. That's the best way to reach me if you want to share that with me. So thank you for that. Very cool. So for those of you who don't know, the church that I am pastoring at is in and Salineville is where the northernmost battle of the American Civil War was fought. No, it was not the Battle of it was the Battle of Salineville, which was fought on the last day of Morgan's raid in July of 1863. Morgan ended up surrendering later that day. Hey, Erkman, thank you for that. Congratulations from Canada's mini fridge. Interesting. Very cool. A bit of lag returning again. I wonder if there's a problem with my internet. I don't know why there would be. It's usually not too bad, but I apologize for that. Cartographical History, thank you for gifting the membership. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm getting caught up here. I'm still reading super chats from before we hit 500K. So celebrate good times. Come on, it's a celebration. Average multi-continent guy. Congrats. Thank you for that. I do have a bunch of stuff I want to share with you guys, so I'm going to get to some of that in the middle of answering the questions and everything. Plane just landed, Tree Underground says. Very cool. JD's on his way home from his latest trip to Europe. He was hanging out over there with some common friends we have. Looking forward to seeing your videos from that, JD. Knight, thank you so much. Big congrats. You deserve it, brother. God bless you. God bless you as well, Knight. I appreciate that. Marstar for 3 months of membership. Really appreciate it. Vashek, my friend Vashek is here. You saw him a bunch in those images in that slideshow that I just played, because Vashek has been like on all of my tours that I've done. So he has become a good friend. He and I are the same age. He's from Prague, which is an amazing city, by the way, if you ever get the chance to visit. I can count as lifelong friends that I have made because of this channel. And honestly, that is the best part about this. So let's talk about this for a minute before I get to some more of the super chats, because I just want to talk about just my own journey in the last, well, almost 5 years now since vlogging through history became a thing. Because I've been through a lot, and I've shared, I'm kind of an open book, share everything with you guys. I do have some secrets. But for the most part, I'm a pretty open book, because I feel like by being honest and open about not only my successes, but also my struggles, that maybe it makes me more relatable and helps us to connect better. And maybe along the way, I can encourage you who might be going through a similar struggle. So, since the channel started, I was thinking about in the last 4.5 years or so, the channel's been active. I have moved 3 times. So when I first started making YouTube videos, I've actually moved 4 times. YouTube channel. When I first started my gaming channel, I was in the basement of my old house. It was a really dank, dark, not very nice basement, and that was where I made videos. Then when I started vlogging through history, in fact, I'll probably, if we have time, I'll show you. I want to look at a couple of old videos and have a good laugh at some things. Show you the very first live stream that I ever did on vlogging through history, because it was shot in the basement of the house that we moved into in 2018 when I was working full-time for Rachel's Challenge. So I'll try to pull that up and show you guys. But I've moved 3 times since then, mostly because of separation and divorce. Because when my wife and I first separated, I moved into a really tiny house that was not even big enough for my kids to be able to stay with me, because I don't want to get into this too much, because honestly, everything that happened with my divorce is really kind of a story between me and my ex-wife. And but bottom line is, when we separated, I don't think either one of us really knew for sure that it was going to end up in divorce. I think in hindsight, we both look back and think, well, I think there was some hope there that it wasn't going to end that way. And so when I moved into the first house that I was renting, it was really tiny, and it wasn't really room for me to have my kids stay with me. And because I wasn't planning on it being a long-term thing. Well, once the divorce became inevitable, then I moved into another bigger rental house. But the idea was always that I would eventually buy my own house. But as long as I was on the mortgage and on the deed of the house that my wife was living in, I couldn't do that. And so once the divorce was final, it took a few more months before I got my name off of everything. And then I was able to buy the house that I'm in now. So yeah, I've moved 3 times since Vlogging Through History has existed. Of course, I've been divorced since Vlogging Through History existed. Yeah, YouTube does run ads on live streams, and it does them randomly. So some of you are going to get ads at different times than others. I could turn those off, but then it would also turn off monetization, which means we couldn't do super chats and things like that. So I apologize for the ads that happen, that some of you are getting randomly in there. But yeah, not only been divorced and moved 3 times, but I've lost a brother and both the parents who raised me. So, you know, if you look at a list of the things that cause stress in people's lives, like there's like a hierarchy of things that can cause stress, like certain illnesses and things like that. But losing a close family member, going through a divorce, and moving are some of the most stressful things a person can go through. And I've had all of them. I lost my brother to COVID. Lost both my parents. So my brother died in October of 2021. He was biologically my uncle. I've told that story, but we were raised in the same family. I was raised by my grandparents, who were young enough. They were in their 30s when I was born, so they were young enough to be my parents. They're the only parents that I had growing up, really. And so my biological uncle was my brother. He was 5 years older than me, and we grew up in the same family as brothers. So he died in October 2021 to COVID. We lost my grandfather in 2022 in December, and then lost my grandmother in April of 23. All the while I was going through, my wife and I separated in January of 2023. So lost my brother, lost my father, got separated, lost my mother, got divorced, all in the span of about 1.5 years. So there was a lot. But also in the middle of all of that, I've made my first trips to Europe and to Africa. I've now been to Europe like 12 times in the last 3.5 years, which I'd never been. I had been to Canada and Costa Rica, and then we did a couple of cruises in the Caribbean. I went to places like Honduras and Belize and Mexico, but had never really been anywhere else. And so this channel has made all of that other stuff that has happened since then, all of my trips to Europe and the group tour we did to Egypt, and another one we have coming up, and the tour we have coming in Jordan in February, which will be my first trip to Asia, all happened because of this channel. So, and I get to share that with people, which is the best part. I love our group trips. Again, talk about lifelong friends. I am in multiple group chats on my phone with all the people that we've done these tours with. We have one group chat that is called Repeat Offenders, which is all the people who have been on multiple tours now, which there's like 13 of them, and there's more coming. So yeah. And of course, in the midst of all of this, I've gotten to be on the History Channel multiple times, and I've actually had a couple of other chances to be on the History Channel that I've actually had to turn down for various reasons. So if I'd been able to do everything that I've been offered, I would have actually been on 4 different History Channel shows by now, but I've only been on 2. There's a 3rd one coming, and I'm recording some more for another show that I've already been on. Yeah, so a lot has happened because of this channel, and I'm grateful to everybody for that. So let's get to more questions here. Hazardous items, thank you. Here for the history books when historians from the year 2200 review 2020 history and VTH is in the textbooks. I don't know if I'll go that far, but I appreciate your optimism. I like that. Ty S, thank you. I appreciate that. House of Percy. Very cool. I am descended from the Percy family, so I love to do that. Hotspur Percy is like my 19th great grandfather or something like that. So thank you. Gen Z politics. Love your work. Got to tease you. Woodrow Wilson. Oh, man. Nice. By the way, cool little concoction I have going in here. Listen, I talk a lot about alcohol. This is the second time I've talked about it in this stream. I don't really drink that much. And I don't ever like intentionally get drunk. Like that night in Italy, had no idea that one drink would do that to me. It wasn't intentional. I believe drunkenness is wrong, shouldn't happen. But fill up a red Solo cup about that high with apple cider this time of year. Put a little bit of Fireball in it. Awesome. That's what I'm drinking right now. Marco Genie, thank you so much. I appreciate that. 20 Bronk, thank you. Thank you for being my unofficial adult history teacher. I love that. So Christian asked, so during the video that I just played at the beginning, you saw in the background, you said, is that a Buddy Holly music thing I'm seeing? Yes. So what that is my grandparents, when they were dating in the fall of 1958, Buddy Holly and a bunch of other artists, including Dion and the Belmonts and some others, did a show at Stambaugh Auditorium here in Youngstown, Ohio. And my grandparents, who were dating at the time, my grandma was 15, my grandpa was 19, went to that show. And that's the program from when they saw Buddy Holly. And they actually had tickets to see him again at the same venue in February of 1959 on the Winter Dance Party Tour, which was going to come to Youngstown. But of course, Buddy Holly died before that concert took place. But they were going to be here for that one. So that's, that what you saw is in my dining room. I have a lot of my memorabilia on display, historical memorabilia, and that's my grandparents' program from that concert. And I'm a huge Buddy Holly fan. So when my grandparents passed, that came to me. So love that I have that. Hey, Isaac Sipes, so well deserved. Still hope Lamar doesn't do some voodoo stuff tonight so I can beat my history teacher in fantasy football this week. Yeah, I would love to see the Ravens lose. As a Browns fan, I always love to see the Ravens lose. Big L, thank you. Appreciate that. Have to check out for Chess Club. Very cool. Enjoy that. My son's a big chess player. He loves some chess. So I'm just looking at some of the chats here. Do I have a favorite historical artist? Yeah, it's oh, you mean like painting artist? In that case, I love Dutch, I forget the kind of like Rembrandt, that time period. Love that a lot. Let's see where we at. Professor What, thank you so much. And thank you for all that you do for this channel. Professor What is a mod, not only for this channel and for my Discord, but also for other channels as well, like Mr. Terry, who will be next. And I can't wait to celebrate with him when he hits 500K. What's funny is he and I hit 400K at right around the same time. And we talked about making a bet, some kind of a bet between us about who would get to 500K first. And now I wish I had, because I got there first. So, but he's the OG of history reaction channels. Decaf is theft. Thank you for gifting that membership. Chris, thank you. Congrats from Nova Scotia. I want to get to Nova Scotia. Have I looked much into the Halifax explosion? Not a lot. I'm familiar with it. And I want to get to Halifax to explore that a little more, but also to visit the cemetery where the Titanic, the bodies that were recovered from the Titanic were buried. It is a World War I adjacent story. Yeah, I believe the loudest man-made explosion in history until that point. Eldon, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Hey, love the profile picture from the USS Cairo in Vicksburg. Very cool. Congrats, Chris. Been enjoying your channel for 4 years now. Thanks for the healthy discussions and good reaction content has meant a lot. Onward to 1 million. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, everybody who's been saying congratulations. I really appreciate that. Catching up with some of the live chat here as well. Owen, I appreciate that you're saying that, but you can stop now. I know you keep spamming the chat with the same thing, so thank you for that. Oh, wait. Where was I going here? I was trying to click on one, and then it zipped ahead on me. Favorite football club. So I actually have a video on this. I haven't done any videos lately on it, and I want to correct that. But over on VTH Extra, and if you click on the link of any, go into the description of any of my videos, you'll see link. I did a whole video about my favorite football club and why I follow them and how I chose them and things like that. It's West Bromwich Albion is my top team, but I follow teams in a lot of different leagues. So here at home, it's Columbus Crew. They're our closest MLS team. I've been to a bunch of their games. West Brom, Rangers in Scotland. Rough year for the Rangers. But what's cool about Rangers is the family that just bought Rangers in Scotland, in Glasgow, Scotland, live about 3 miles from me. They also own the San Francisco 49ers, and they own Leeds United in the English Premier League. Yeah, and I follow Wrexham. I've been to a Wrexham game. In Germany, it's Hoffenheim. I haven't picked any teams in France, Italy, or Spain yet. Maybe I will at some point, but I've got so many that I follow already. Might be tough to do that. Kieran, thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate that. I like this comment, Daniel. Revisionists will say this video was about vlogging through history and the people he's met, but really it was about states' rights. That's fantastic. I love that. I love that so much. Boo Packers, go Browns. What are your thoughts, Chris? Yeah, that was crazy. That game was absolutely nuts. I had turned it off at one point because I was getting so sick of how awful our offense was. Yeah, Jamie, I'm with you. I don't think Russell Martin's the answer. It's not gone well at all for Rangers. Would I say that Martin Sheen is the most famous person that I've met? And thank you for that, Matt. Yeah, I guess probably. I can't think of anybody more famous than Martin Sheen that I've met. Also, and if you haven't already heard me talk about this, certainly, without a doubt, the nicest celebrity I've met, one of the nicest people, period, I've ever met. I mean, like, I am not exaggerating when I say it's actually absurd how nice, how genuinely nice. I don't just mean he kind of plays the game. No, this guy is genuinely, passionately one of the nicest people you will ever meet in your life. And everybody that I know who has met him has had the exact same experience. Like, it's stupid how nice that guy is. I absolutely love that man, and I will not tolerate a negative thing ever said about him. No, he's not too nice. Here's the story. JD has met him, can confirm Martin Sheen is the nicest dude on planet Earth. Let me give you just a couple of examples of Martin Sheen and how he goes out of his way to be nice. So we got to be, JD was there as well. My son Eli was with us. We got to be a part of this cool thing, and we did videos. JD's got a video. I've got a video about it. American Battlefield Trust has a video about it, where we got to go to roughly the spot where Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address in Gettysburg. We were standing about as close to the spot as you could get. And Sam Waterston and Martin Sheen were there. Sam Waterston from Law and Order, lots of other things, but he played Abraham Lincoln in a TV miniseries back in the 80s. And he told us the story of how he prepared for the job and everything, but he read the Gettysburg Address at the spot where the Gettysburg Address was given. And I was standing like 10 feet away from him. It was amazing. It was so cool. And Martin Sheen was standing right there too. And it was private. So like the cemetery was closed off. There's maybe 20, 30 of us there. But there was a fence that blocked us off from the National Cemetery, which was just on the other side of the fence. And some people had gathered who saw Martin Sheen and Sam Waterston there. And they were over at this fence that's maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 feet away from us. And they're just kind of standing there watching. And once everything was finished and most people start going back to their cars, Martin Sheen makes a beeline for the fence to go over and talk to all those people and interact with people that he had no reason that he had to go and talk to. Another example, that night, listen, the man's 85 years old now, right? He was 84, I think, at the time of this happening. The hotel he was staying in, a bunch of people were down, like gathered in the hotel. And he went in with kind of his entourage and he was heading up to his hotel. It was like 10 o'clock at night and it had been a long day. And he saw some people in the hotel lobby and they kind of waved to him and stuff. And he waved back and kept on going. And kind of like stopped for a minute before they got in the elevator and said, I should go and talk to those people. And they were like, no. You need to get some sleep. You need to get your rest. It's been a long day. Let's head up to your room. So he heads up to his room. He gets to his room and it's eating at him so badly that he didn't stop and talk to those people, that he goes back out, down the elevator, down to the hotel lobby to go talk to those people for like 20 minutes. I wasn't there for that, but I heard about it the next day. And then the last one I'll share, just a little simple, tiny thing about Martin Sheen. This past year, which was the second time we got to meet Martin Sheen, we were doing like this little press conference. It was Martin Sheen, Susan Eisenhower, who was President Eisenhower's granddaughter, Ken Burns, the famous documentary filmmaker, and then who was the other person who was there? Oh, it was Jeff Shara, who's a famous author. And we were doing this press conference, and there's maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 of us in there filming this press conference. And I uploaded some of the highlights from the press conference. Martin Sheen, like the other three walk in and they sit down at their spots up at the table to prepare for the press conference. Martin Sheen walks in, fresh off the plane from flying out from California, 84 years old, walks around to every person in the room, all of us random folks, shakes our hand, asks our name, spends a minute or two talking. And then once he's done that, he goes back around again and says the names to each of us to show us that he had remembered who we were and said hi to us again before he finally sat down. And that just sums up Martin Sheen. And what was cool about that particular day is that was the day that the new Pope was elected. Martin Sheen is a very devout Catholic. And he's one of those people who really does live his faith. And I love that so much. But he asked at the beginning of the press conference if there was a Pope elected yet. And at that moment, there hadn't been. And we're like, no. Well, after the press conference was over, we had a lunch with like 100 people. And I got the news on my phone that there was white smoke and they had elected a Pope. And we didn't know who it was yet. But I got to be the one who walked over, put my arm around Martin Sheen at his table and informed him that a Pope had been elected. So that's something I'll always remember. And that was really cool. And then he was especially excited when he found out it was an American Pope. JD says he also went to the kitchen to thank all of the staff after the dinner at the film festival. Yeah, totally consistent. Like that is who Martin Sheen is. He is not, you would never in a million years know that there was a famous bone in his body. And I don't mean to say that famous people can't be nice, but he goes so far above and beyond what any reasonable person would expect from someone. And to do that at his age, after all he's accomplished, is just, man, if I could ever be a tenth as awesome as that guy is, I'll be pleased with my life. So, okay. The Unbrickables, thank you for that. I appreciate that. We got a lot of super chats to get through. I'm going to try to catch up on these. I am planning on streaming for a little while here. So, and I apologize to all of our friends in Europe. I know it's awfully late for you because I wanted to do this earlier. I know it's after midnight there, but unfortunately, just this is actually the only night of the week that I could stream this week. So I'm so grateful that we were able to hit 500K tonight. On a night that I was streaming or that I was available to stream. So I am going to try to go as long as I can here. I'm a college student in New York City and earning a minor in history. Don't want to work a desk job my whole life. What are some directions I could go where I could explore my passion for history? It's tough, right? I mean, outside of teaching, you're talking about maybe research. I mean, start a YouTube channel. That's how I've kind of had my outlet. You could get involved in working at a museum. I think research is a great one. If you're the kind of person who's into that, I love research. I love that kind of stuff. Volunteer for like archaeological digs. Find ways to get plugged into things, even if it's not something you do for work, that it could eventually turn into a career. I had no idea when I started this YouTube channel it would turn into my career, and I would make a living doing it. So sometimes you put yourself into a situation, and good things happen. And I would say the most important thing, and this has been the mantra of my life, is learn something every single day. There is not a day that goes by, going back to when I was 8 years old, there hasn't been a day that has gone by in the last 40 years of my life where I haven't intentionally learned something new, especially in history. Anytime I'm driving, I'm listening to an audiobook. If I'm traveling, if I'm walking through the airport, I'm listening to an audiobook. If I'm sitting at home and I'm working on something, I'm watching a YouTube video about history. I'm constantly learning. I'm never going to get to the place where I stop learning something new. The reason I'm very lucky, I probably have a little touch. I'm probably on a little bit of the autism spectrum somewhere. A lot of people have asked me about that. Of course, that wasn't a thing when I was a kid that people talked about much. But I have been blessed with a very unnatural ability to remember pretty much everything that I learn. I'm 48 now, so it's a little harder to access some of it sometimes, but it's all in there. But one of the reasons why I'm able to do the reaction videos the way that I do is because it seems like one way or another, any book I've read, any YouTube video I've watched, any audiobook I've listened to, any podcast I've listened to, somehow or another, the highlights at least, they stay. And I'm able to kind of bring that stuff back up. So just keep learning. Okay. Congrats on 500K. What's your view on Marlboro? Yeah. One of the greatest. And probably if you get beyond the really famous greats, like Julius Caesar, Napoleon, Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, you get into those like lesser known all-time greats, Duke of Marlboro's got to be there, right? I mean, I think you can make a very, very, very strong case, at the very least, greatest British general in history, for sure. All right, let's see where we at. Mr. Railyard, thank you for that. Amtrak Guy 365's History of Trains, I guess. Oh, I love the history of blank, I guess. That's really taken off since the original ones. History of the world, entire world, I guess, things like that. Railroad history is important to me. So remember the Steam Railroading Institute in Owasso, Michigan. Very cool. I have a friend who's from that general area around Owasso, Michigan. Actually, just texting with him a little while ago. He doesn't live there now. He lives in Pennsylvania, but you own the Polar Express. Very cool. Yeah, we should do some rail stuff. That would be a lot of fun. Blue Yummies, thank you. University student and will be a high school history teacher in a few years. Awesome. Hey, so cool story. I ran into my high school history teacher, one of them. I had two, about a week ago at a cross country meet. He may even be watching. I don't know. If you are, Mr. Toth, how's it going? All of us, right, have people who invested in our lives, and I wouldn't be here celebrating 500,000 subscribers on YouTube if it weren't for those people in my life. My grandparents taking me to battlefields for family vacations, buying me videos and books for Christmas, engaging that nerd part of me and like embracing that and fostering that love of history. Couldn't have done it without them. My teachers in middle school and high school, I had some amazing social studies teachers. But Mr. Toth was the guy that I ran into, and he was my distance coach on the track team. And we also, my senior year of high school, we started a chapter of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes at my school. And I was one of the founding members of that. And Mr. Toth was our advisor for that. So he was not only my distance coach for the cross country or for the track team, he was one of my history teachers. He was also our advisor for FCA. And so one of the first real mentors in my life, not only for athletics, but for history and also my faith. I ran into him last week, and it was a cross country meet. He's still coaching. He's coaching cross country, and we were talking, and he didn't know about my YouTube channel. But he used to let me teach his class and stuff. It was great. I was such a nerd even then with history. And one of the assistant coaches came over and immediately said, "Hey, aren't you a YouTuber?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And that got us talking. And so I gave Mr. Toth my phone number. And on the bus home from that cross country meet, he's texting me, "Oh, I just watched your video, and I just shared your video with these 8 other history teachers in the area." And then 10 minutes later, "Oh, I just shared it with 2 more." And it was really just full circle moment for me. One of the people who were responsible for me getting where I am now, learning about me having the YouTube channel. So that was really, really cool. That was awesome. So yeah, never underestimate the difference you make. It might take 20 or 30 years before you see it. And what was cool too is when he was telling me that he was texting a link to my channel to these other history teachers in the area, 6 of them were people who had him as a history teacher who are now history teachers. So that tells you what an impact this man has made on lives over the years. Even people who didn't love history love Mr. Toth. He's just that kind of guy. But look at how many of his students have become history teachers. So never underestimate the difference you make. Read any books on Rome? Yes, a few. Rubicon by Tom Holland is one of them. I've done 3 of Tom Holland's books, and his brother James Holland does a lot of World War II stuff, and he's great. I've met James Holland. But yeah, Rubicon's one of them. Pax, I think is it called Pax? I think it's just called Pax. I read that one too. So excellent books. Yeah. Thoughts on the Jimmy Kimmel ABC FCC situation? It's mixed. So I saw the initial report that said that the FCC was putting pressure on ABC. That I don't like one bit. If that was the case, if that was happening, shouldn't be happening. I hate that. And I hate the fact that even if it didn't happen, it's plausible that it happened, because Donald Trump basically came out and said that he would do that kind of thing. And I don't like that at all. But I've also read a number of news reports that say that it had nothing to do with the FCC, that the broadcasters made that decision on their own, and even came out and said, we didn't have any contact with the FCC before we made this decision. So if that's the case, then listen, here's the bottom line. Look at the statistics. Yeah, they are reinstating him. I think tomorrow night he's back on the air. So the bottom line is that whether now or 5 years from now, late night TV is a dying thing, and it's not coming back. It's like manufacturing jobs where I live. They're not coming back. If you look at the demographics, late night TV is aging out, right? The younger generations are just not watching it. And there's a number of reasons for that. But I do think part of the reason, one of the reasons why I stopped watching it, is how increasingly political they got. And they've always made fun of politicians, but it's felt increasingly one-sided. And I just wasn't interested in that. It's the same reason I don't watch cable news. I haven't for years. I used to watch it all the time. I don't anymore. I don't watch any of that stuff. I can't stand the partisan crap, no matter who it's coming from. Right, left, center, anybody. You know, when you start, I just can't do it. So the bottom line is, here's what I think happened. What I think happened was that ABC realizes they're just like CBS with Colbert. They're losing a ton of money producing this show. And I think they saw an opportunity to get out from under it by blaming Jimmy Kimmel for it. And when their broadcasting partners said, we're pulling our ads or we're pulling the show, it made it really easy for them. But now there's been some backlash, and I think they're backing off of it. But I still think Jimmy Kimmel isn't long for this earth in terms of his TV show. Just like Colbert, I just think they're on their way out. And if you look at the demographics, the ad revenue's way down, the viewership's way down, the viewership's increasingly older because younger generations just aren't watching it. So I hope the FCC wasn't involved in putting pressure. There's some rumors that it was, other reports that it wasn't. It's certainly believable because it's consistent with the kinds of threats that Trump has made, and I don't like that at all. So what denomination? I'm actually non-denominational. I'm part of what's known as as non-denominational Churches of Christ and Christian churches. Now, there's a denomination called the Church of Christ. That's not what we are. We're churches. A lot of the churches that I've been a part of, including the one I'm currently a part of, used to be a part of the Disciples of Christ denomination, which is the denomination that President James Garfield was an ordained minister in that denomination. But a lot of them broke away and became non-denominational back like in the 50s and 60s. From what they saw was an increasingly liberalization of the church. So it's a non-denominational church. But I guess if you were to compare our beliefs to a denomination, it would be kind of mainstream Baptist, though we're not Calvinist. But main points of theology similar to Baptist, I guess. Kevin, hey, my friend. You probably saw Kevin in some of those pictures that I showed earlier. Go Blue and go Tigers. Kevin and I, along with our friend Jonathan, went to the Ohio State-Michigan game last year, where Kevin got to come out on top because his team won in Ohio State. So it was a lot of fun, though, and Kevin was the one that organized all of that. And now his Tigers and my Guardians are going at it for the division title here this week. But good to see you, Kevin. Thank you so much, my friend. Been a fan for a year now. Nathan Casey Grant, thank you so much. Describe myself as a far left progressive, and we see eye to eye in many stuff. Bipartisan is real. Amen. I'm so glad for all of the lefties and the atheists and the Muslims and the Buddhists and the conservatives and the MAGAs and everybody else who's here that's a part of this channel. We have this common love for history, and I'm grateful for that. So, all right. We still got 800 people in the stream. That's amazing. So before I get to some more questions, just share a couple of things real quick with you. Looking ahead. Number one, I've talked a long time now about what I would do if and when I hit 1 million subscribers. And I don't know if that'll happen. Like, if at the current rate of growth, it's going to take me like another 5 years to hit 1 million. Maybe it'll happen faster than that. Maybe it won't happen at all. I don't know. But if and when I hit 1 million subscribers, my long stated gift to myself is that I'm going to take a half-hour ride on a Spitfire in the UK. It's a World War II fighter airplane. And it's like 3,500 UK pounds, British pounds, to take a half-hour ride on a Spitfire. It's crazy expensive, but I figure by the time I get to 1 million subscribers, I can probably justify the expense and record the whole thing for the channel. So that's my gift at 1 million. So I thought I should probably do something for myself for 500,000. So I did something really fancy and really exotic for my 500,000, and I bought a new microphone. And I don't have it yet. It's going to be here Wednesday. Currently, this is actually the third microphone that I have used since I've had the channel. It's a HyperX Quadcast. You see it there. And it's done the job pretty well. Before that, I had a Blue Yeti microphone. Before they had a Blue Snowball, which is a little round one. But I just got the most expensive microphone that I've ever bought, and it was $500. Now that's my celebratory gift to me for 500,000 subscribers. It's the one that you see all the podcasters using. It's the Shure microphone. I'll tell you the exact model of it in case anybody is curious about such things. It is the SM7DB wired dynamic microphone with built-in preamp. So I'll show you what it looks like real quick here. You guys can see the microphone that I bought for myself. There you go. That's the mic I got from Best Buy. I have a Best Buy card. So on expensive purchases like that, I can get 12 months with no interest. That way, as long as I pay it off within a year, I don't pay any interest on it. So I don't have that kind of cash to just throw at a purchase like that. But so that's my gift to myself for 500,000 subs. So thank you guys for making that possible. I'm going to be using that not only for recording videos for this channel, but also for my podcast episodes, which I'm going to be doing more of. I've got a couple of scripts ready to go for both podcasts that I have. But I also am going to be recording some music. I have a new album in the works. I've recorded 2 in the past. This one is all original music, all stuff that I've written. A couple of songs I actually co-wrote with my grandfather before he passed. And they're all songs that either have to do with my family or my faith or history. So I'm really excited about that. And if you're a patron or a member, you got to see a little preview of one of those songs, which is a song I wrote called The Bricks That Bear His Name. So my last name is Mowry, which is an English name, but my ancestors weren't English. They were German, and the name was Maurer, Maurer, which means bricklayer or stonemason. It's kind of that word. It means someone who makes walls. And interestingly enough, my great grandpa Mowry was a brick maker. He worked, and the reason he came to Ohio from Kentucky was because he was a specialized kind of brick maker. It's called fire bricks, which were used in the steel industry and things like that. And so he came from Olive Hill, Kentucky to Niles, Ohio to work at Niles Fire Brick. And actually both sides, my dad and mom's sides of the family, came to work at Niles Fire Brick from Kentucky. And so I wrote this song called The Bricks That Bear His Name. It's kind of a play on, it's a song about my great-grandfather. And it's a play on the fact that our name originally meant bricklayer, and that my great-grandfather was a brick maker, and that he came to Ohio to make a better life for his family. So the song starts, down in the hills of Carter County, where the morning mist would cling, lived a man who shaped the red clay with the strength that hard times bring. Estill Mowry, they all called him, with dust upon his hands, laying bricks and quiet prayers across Kentucky lands. I don't know if I can sing this high right now, but I'm going to try. And he said, these hands may be worn, but they're steady, and this back may bend, but it won't break. I'll lay every stone for my children's road, no matter how long it takes. He built more than walls with that fire and clay. He built us a family name, and the wind still sings through Ohio fields of the bricks that bear his name. Yeah, so that I actually shared a little bit even of the music for that song. Yes, TMH, I am answering questions, so go ahead and ask them. Get my guitar out. Yeah, I don't even know if it's tuned. It's in another room somewhere. I've got another song called Tipton, which is kind of it's got like a Gaelic feel to it. It kind of sounds like it could have been written in Ireland or Scotland. And it's about my ancestor who went from Tipton in the West Midlands of England, went up to Glasgow, Scotland, and then came to Ohio. So that song, there's a song I co-wrote with my grandfather that he originally wrote the chorus and a couple of verses to a song about this guy named Lige Boggs, who would go down to where all the teenagers hung out on Friday nights, and he'd be drinking, and he'd be half drunk, but he'd be preaching to people, and he wrote a song about that. So I finished that song, and I'm recording that one. So all of the music, once I finish, but I'm going to use that microphone. That's why I was sharing that, is that microphone's the one I'm going to use to record that music as well. Yeah, that'll all be made available as I record those songs. So anyway, Yeah, oh, sorry, we did that one. Let's see. The Unbrickables. Thank you for that. Interesting video called The Last Days of Austria-Hungary. Ooh, that's actually a really interesting topic. I like that. Fits right in with my love of World War I history. So very cool. Thank you for that recommendation. Hugo, thank you so much. I'm going to try to get caught up on these as best I can. Do I think there's a correct denomination of Christianity Christians are supposed to follow? No, I do not. I think denominations, by their very nature, have too much of humanity in them. And I think a little bit of our fallen humanity has worked its way into all of it. And I honestly cannot think of a single denomination that there isn't something that I would say, I don't know about that. The good news is there are plenty of Christian denominations out there that get the stuff that really matters right. If you get the stuff that really matters right, we can debate about the lesser doctrinal stuff. And that's really more about opinion and personal preference than it is about the fundamental things about salvation and stuff like that. House of Percy, thank you for becoming a member. I really appreciate that. Hey, all the best from Poland. Hey, my friends and I in one of my group chats, actually, you saw a bunch of pictures in that slideshow of our group that we call the Backstreet Boys. It's me and a bunch of other YouTubers, as well as a couple of other friends that aren't YouTubers. And you've seen me stream with them from Europe. It's actually just in France with a couple of them. We're kind of talking about doing Poland next year. Hoping it'll happen, but maybe 2026 could be the year for Poland. So, as JD's favorite singer would say, it's time to shake it off. JD is forever linked to Taylor Swift now. And that's not a bad thing. Listen, I don't get all the hate for Taylor Swift. I really don't. She's been incredibly successful. She's super talented. I say good for her. How did I come to become a Christian? You know what? That's a long story and a fantastic idea. And I'm writing it down right now for VTH Extra because I keep talking about wanting to do more videos on VTH Extra, and I haven't done any for a while. And that's a fantastic topic for me to get into. It's to talk about kind of my testimony, my story of faith. So thank you for asking that. And that's definitely something I will cover on that channel. Emiliano, thank you so much. First YouTuber you've ever supported on Patreon. Thank you so much. My favorite biblical historical finding ever. Wow, there's a lot of really good ones. But I think it might have to be that they found the ossuary of Caiaphas, the high priest, who is in the story of the crucifixion. They found his bone box. That one's really cool. I think there's been so many, man. There's some amazing biblical discoveries that have been made over the years, but that's one. Dead Sea Scrolls. I'm going to get to see the Dead Sea Scrolls. And listen, if you got a little extra money sitting around, we still have, I think, 7 spots available for our trip to Jordan in February. And one of the things we're going to see in Jordan is the Dead Sea Scrolls. We're going to the Dead Sea, but we're also going to see the Dead Sea Scrolls. We're going to go to Mount Nebo, which is in the Old Testament. It's the place that Moses goes to the top of in order to see the promised land before he dies. We're going to some incredible sites, the Jordan River. So join us. We've still got 7 spots available for that tour. Matt Beat said he might run for Senate in 2026. Yes, I was actually just with Matt about a month ago. And we talked about that. I don't want to steal his thunder and share any of what he told me, but he did mention that he was approached about that. So, yeah. And yes, I'm definitely going to take a dip in the Dead Sea. We're actually staying in a hotel on the Dead Sea. It's like a resort hotel right there. So we're going to go to Petra. So that's going to be super cool. Pat, awesome. You're going to Jordan? Yeah, I think I recognize your name from that. Very, very cool. Dead Sea Scrolls were just at the Reagan Library. Barely missed it. Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Congratulations. Hey, thank you, Rob. Rob is one of the good friends, lifelong friends that I have made because of having this channel. He and I met in Ypres, Belgium, through our joint hosting of history YouTube channels. Rob and I have been to a couple of football matches in England. We've gotten to do some really cool stuff together. We were just together in France a few weeks ago. So Rob's one of my best friends in the world. Love that guy. You should definitely check out his channel, History in Your Hand. Fantastic content. Colin, as someone who isn't that into religion, I find your videos you've done super interesting. Would I consider doing more on religion? Yes, absolutely. That's something I want to be more open and talk about. So that definitely will happen. Congrats on the massive milestone from Bristol. I want to get to Bristol. There's so many places I haven't been to yet. My videos make your time driving at work exceedingly more enjoyable. I appreciate that. Thank you. What do I think of the new season of South Park? I haven't watched any of it. I know my daughter's enjoying it. I haven't watched it yet. I've watched a lot of South Park, but I haven't watched it recently. Other than the Civil War and World War I would say probably U.S. presidential history, the British monarchy, or the Wars of the Roses. Estella, another friend I have met through my many adventures. Estella watches our streams on YouTube for church. Very cool. So happy to have met you and Eli personally. That's awesome. Thank you, Stella. I am happy to have met you as well. Marco says, do I have, I actually talked about Stephen Miller's speech. I didn't see, so I can't speak to that. Marco says, I have some books behind me. Do I have any favorites? Let's talk about a few favorites. This one is one probably none of you have heard about, but this is essential reading for me right now because this was written by a member of Company H of the 20th Ohio. And why does that matter? Because I'm writing a book about Company H of the 20th Ohio right now. And imagine my surprise when I found out that there was actually a book written in 1866 by a member of that company. And it says E.C. Downs. Edward Downs was the company commander of Company H for a good bit of the war, but he actually didn't write this book. He ghost wrote this book. The actual writer was a private in the company named Lorraine Ruggles, who actually was it says 4 years a scout and spy. He randomly joined Company H because he encountered Lieutenant Downs on a recruiting drive back home in Ohio, and joined the company because he thought they looked like good soldiers. But then he was hired by first General McPherson and then later General Sherman and General Grant to be a scout. And he would actually, because he lived in the South for a good bit of his life, even though he's from Ohio, he actually regularly went behind Confederate lines and posed even as a Confederate soldier. He would have been hanged if he had been captured. And his stories are incredible. And some of the best details about camp life and Company H come from that book. So that one's amazing. A hidden gem of the Civil War for sure. Actually, this just came because it just came out. So this is a brand new publication that was sent to me by the publisher, which, by the way, I see that Craig Simons is on the back of this. I just met him in Gettysburg last year, so that's really cool. Harold Holzer was in Gettysburg at the film festival as well, so that's cool. So this is the complete annotated edition of General Sherman's memoirs, which are fantastic, and I've read his memoirs anyway. But this was sent to me, and actually, I'm probably going to do a whole video about Sherman on stories of the Civil War, and I'm going to be giving you guys a discount code that they're going to give me. I haven't gotten it yet. I need to remind them to give that to me, but they're going to give me a discount code for people who want to order that. So they sent that to me free with the hope that I would advertise it to all of you. So, sorry, I clicked on the wrong things here. It's a nonfiction. It's kind of, if you've ever read Band of Brothers, it's modeled after Band of Brothers. It's the story of a single company and the 130 or so men who served at one time or another in that company. That's it. I mean, it's literally just following that 100 or so guys from the beginning of the war to the end of the war. I did extensive biographical research into every one of the 132 men, officers and men who served in the unit throughout the war. I've been one by one visiting all of the known graves of all of them. I've been diving into their pension files. I have scoured hundreds of newspaper articles, letters home from people. So it's a very personal and detailed account of individual private soldiers and their experience from enlistment to their early months when they were on garrison duty outside of Cincinnati at a place called Camp King in northern Kentucky. And then their first experience in battle is at Fort Donelson. And then they were actually selected as the regiment that escorted all the Donelson prisoners to northern prison camps. So they divided up all the companies. Company H actually escorted about 2,000 prisoners to Chicago to a prison camp. And then they came back in time for the Battle of Shiloh. They were in Lew Wallace's division, which means they missed the first day of the battle because Lew Wallace's division got lost on the way to the battlefield. But they fought in the second day at Shiloh. They were at Vicksburg. They were the lead regiment at the Battle of Raymond during the Vicksburg campaign. They fought at Champion Hill. They were at Kennesaw Mountain. They were the deadliest day of the war for them was the Battle of Atlanta on July 22nd, 1864, the day that General McPherson was killed, who had been their corps commander and then their army commander. They were in the March to the Sea. They were at the Battle of Bentonville. They were at Johnston's surrender, and then they were in the Grand Review in Washington, D.C. So I'm telling the story of those guys. So that's I've mentioned it on Instagram because I've been posting pictures of me visiting the graves of a lot of those guys, because that company was actually raised in Lordstown, which is about 3 miles from the house I grew up in. And my great-great-great-great-grandfather was in Company H. He was the oldest enlisted man in the company. His son was the youngest enlisted man in the company. He was the drummer. And so that was what led me to their story. And I'm actually already thinking about the next book, which is going to be about another company, which was raised about 300 yards from where I'm sitting right now. It was known as the Poland Rifles, and it was Company E of the 23rd Ohio. And one of the privates who enlisted in the Poland Rifles was William McKinley. So it's a story of a company of soldiers from right here in Poland where I live that included a future president. So that's probably the next one that I'm going to do after this. But let me get through that one first. All right, let's try to get caught up here. I need to take a drink. Mountain Dew now. Okay, where are we at? Will I ever do a Star Wars video on the impact the film has had on America? I love Star Wars, but I'm not like a insane, crazy, like super into it fanatic like a lot of people are. So I'm probably not the best person for that. Holy cow, guys, we're already over 500,100. So we've added like 150 new subscribers during this stream. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. I can't say that enough, guys. I hope it comes across to you guys how truly, genuinely grateful I am to each and every one of you. Let me answer a couple more questions, then I want to talk about some stuff that's coming up that includes you guys. So, been watching since 2022. Thank you, Mr. Bison, so much. From the other Victorian state of Australia, but I do a tier list on micro states. Again, I'd love to do that, but I don't know enough about them. I need to visit a few of them first before I feel like I could adequately do that. Pagan Z, thank you. Subscribed around 80,000. Ben, you've been around a long time. I appreciate that. I admire your maturity on recent events, and I've decided to become a patron. Thank you. I know most of you are not in the financial place where you can do things like Patreon, but I cannot stress enough how insanely important it is that you support your favorite content creators, whether it's me or someone else. And I support a bunch of my favorite YouTubers on Patreon because I believe in it that much. I cannot stress to you enough how much it matters that you do that. It really does, because the ad revenue, as I've experienced in the last week, can be very hit or miss. And there are some months that I don't really make enough to even pay my bills from ad revenue. If it weren't for Patreon, I wouldn't be able to keep doing this. I'd have to go out and get a job. You make it possible. You really, that I'm not just saying that, you really, truly do, no matter who it is that you support. When I do historical brewery tours, that actually sounds like a lot of fun. I've been to a few. I'm hoping the next time I get to Dublin that I can do the Guinness tour, because I didn't get to do it the last time I was in Dublin, and I loved Ireland. Sending love from Massachusetts. Hey, Megan, awesome. I'm going to be in Massachusetts briefly on Friday. I'm going to Rhode Island to film some stuff. But I'm flying into Boston because it's a direct flight from Pittsburgh, and then driving down. Gonna make a stop in Fall River to check out the Lizzie Borden House and the USS Massachusetts on my way into Rhode Island. So Rhode Island, by the way, will be state number 49 for me. That'll leave Utah. Utah will be the only state I haven't been to. And then it's all about the continents. I want to get to all 7 of those too. So Chat History, another fantastic channel. Thank you so much, Chat History. Definitely, if you guys haven't already, you have to check out Chat History. Great channel. One of my favorite channels to do reactions to. I hope that many of you have subscribed to that channel. Ungrateful Colonial. Every year on the 4th of July, I post the meme that has like a picture of the Queen, now the King, or it just has the Union flag. And it says, Happy 4th of July, ungrateful colonials, or something to that effect. So thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, Carlos, thank you so much. You have your own Instagram pages you've grown. How long did it take you to go full-time on content creation? So you have 17,000 on Instagram in 120 days. That's really good, dude. That's almost as many as I have. I have around 19,000 on Instagram. But of course, that's not my focus, and God is good. I agree. My daughter, her thing is TikTok now. She's got a ton, like 30,000 followers on TikTok. Rachel Joy 356, by the way, on TikTok. If you're into Harry Potter type stuff, because that's mostly what she does. Let me take a look. I guess the user is, it's at Rachel Joy 356, which 356 is for Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, which is she and I, when she was 5 years old, we co-wrote a song based on Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. She's got almost 32,000 followers and almost 7 million likes on TikTok. To go full-time for me. So my first YouTube channel, I started in December 2016. I started making content for Vlogging Through History in December of 2020. And it was about April of 2021 when I was making enough to be able to do it full-time. So you could say about 4.5 years. For Vlogging Through History, it happened much faster. It was like 4 months, 5 months, but I had been making YouTube videos for about almost 5 years at that point. Do I have a favorite fictional president? Oh yeah, that's easy. Go back to my earlier conversation. It's definitely President Bartlet on West Wing. I don't like everything about President Bartlet, but overall, I definitely like him. Dan, let's see, book recommendation, Covenant with Death. I have that. I have, so he's mentioning a bunch of books. I have Covenant with Death, Sheffield City Pals Battalion. Yeah. Blame Lemmy and Sabaton. Your great grandpa survived. So 1916 by Motorhead, and then later the cover by Sabaton. It's a gut-wrenching song, and it's about, the first day of the Somme, especially those guys in the Pals battalions at places like Serre. I was just in Serre a couple weeks ago. That is a sacred place to me, and I noticed to some of my friends as well. To me, there are a couple of places that I've been connected to history that for me are sacred places. They're places that, like, when I'm there, it just is overwhelming to me. The banks of 14 Mile Creek at Raymond, where the 20th Ohio fought in May of 1863. The place where the Accrington Pals went over the top at Serre, Sheffield Memorial Park on the Somme battlefield. There's a little cemetery. It's called the Devonshire Cemetery, and I did a podcast and a video about a guy. Where's that book? It might not be in here. I think the book might be somewhere else because I was using it for research recently. Oh, here it is. I just put it back on the shelf. So this book here is called Before Action. It's about a poet named William Noel Hodgson, who was with the 9th Devons. And that is a sacred place to me, his gravesite, where he wrote this poem in that very trench where he's buried now. He wrote a poem called Before Action, and it was him kind of coming to terms with the fact that he was about to die. And the last line, the last stanza of the poem is him talking about all the things that he took for granted while he was alive. And he ends it with saying, must say goodbye to all of this. Help me to die, O Lord. And just the first time I read that poem at his grave. So there are places like that I go there and I just have to take some time. Dachau was like that for me. It was my first time in a concentration camp. Oh yeah, Steve, that's an excellent one. The Verdun ossuary, that whole area around Fort Douaumont, Fleury, the town which is right down the street from there. Verdun is a sacred place too. Yeah, for sure. And I think we all have those connections based on our interests, based on our family connections, based on our own history and experiences and things like that. Adam, thank you. Means the world to me. I helps through depression. I use your channel for facts and my Bart trivia. Very cool. That's awesome. Not the depression part, but I'm glad you're working through that. Listen, I tell people this all the time, and this is another topic I want to dive into more, especially on VTH Extra, stuff about mental health. Man, don't ever be ashamed of needing help with your mental health. Dealt with my own mental health issues, dealt with family members with significant mental health issues. My great-grandfather took his own life, battling mental health and alcoholism issues. I have other people close to me in my life who have lost significant family members to suicide and mental health issues. Your mind is a part of your body. And just like every part of your body, it can get sick through no fault of your own, whether it's through trauma you've experienced or just a chemical imbalance. Don't be afraid to get the help that you need for that. Seriously. I mean, stick around, find something that brings you joy and find people who can get you through it. Martin, thank you so much. From Prague. Awesome. Love Prague. One of my favorite cities that I've ever been to. Beautiful, beautiful place with amazing history. Nathan, thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. At what point does a murder become an assassination? I think the standard definition is that if the murder is done for political reasons, it tends to be labeled an assassination. There may be a broader definition than that, but I know at the very least political murders are assassinations. Let's see. Decline. Thank you so much. Couldn't attend the Dublin meetup. Hopefully we'll do another one. So speaking of that, let's talk about what's coming in the not too distant future, the immediate future in 2026. Definitely more frequent meetups. One of the things I want to do more and more is give back to this community that has given me so much. So I've done some meetups. We've done meetups in Dublin and Belfast and Birmingham and London. I want to do more meetups in the States. So we're going to be doing much more of those. I'd like to at least do one a month. Even some local ones here like Pittsburgh, Cleveland, things like that. So definitely more frequent meetups. Definitely more frequent like short-term tours. Like I did one, there was like a 2-day tour in the Vicksburg area. I did a 1 afternoon tour at the Shiloh battlefield a couple of years ago. Want to do more of those. More stuff in the US and in North America that is more accessible to folks that can't do the tours in places like Europe and Africa and Asia that we're doing, but also more of those group tours. Right now on the schedule, we have Egypt, which is sold out in December. We've got like 5 people on the waiting list for that one. In February, we've got Jordan, which has still got 7 spots available, and you can find the links to these in the description of the videos. In April, we have a tour, a walking tour of Hadrian's Wall. We're gonna hike 60 miles of Hadrian's Wall in a week. Right now, there are 4 of us. There are 3 people that have booked that one, plus myself. It's unfortunately, it's a very small tour, which made it more expensive than I wanted it to be. I was hoping it would be cheaper, which I think is contributing to why it hasn't sold very well so far. But it's in April, late April. It's the Hadrian's Wall tour, and you'll find the link in the description of some of the recent videos for that. If we don't book most of the spots for that one, and we've got 8 spots available for it, if we don't book most of the spots for that one in the next week or so, I'm probably going to cancel that one, and I'll refund everybody's deposit for that tour, because I have to put down the non-refundable deposit with the tour group that's providing the tour guide and doing all the logistics for that. I have to do that in the next week. And if I don't think I can sell it out, it won't be financially viable. And I would lose a bunch of money to do that tour. And I can't risk that right now. I don't have the money to be able to lose a bunch of money doing a tour. So I'll have to cancel it if I don't book the spots on that one. So that's coming in April. In July, we are doing Scotland, Edinburgh, the whole area around Edinburgh. We're doing Stirling Castle, Bannockburn Battlefield, Dunfermline Abbey. We're going up to Inverness, doing Fort George, the Culloden Battlefield. We're going to Orkney for a couple of days. That's going to be amazing. That sold out in a couple of days, and we've got 7 people on the waiting list for that one now. It's fully booked, 25 of us on that tour. I'll probably do a second Scotland tour because of the demand that exists for that one. And there will be more tours like that, but I want to do more in the States. I'm going to do a Western Front tour sometime next year, where we go to like the Somme, places like that on the Western Front battlefield. That won't be that expensive. I think that'll be less than $1,500 a person, but I'm still working out the details with that. And that'll be like a 5-day tour. Probably start and end in London for that one. But more stuff in the States. We'll do some more local tours, 2 and 3 day type things, even 1-day stuff. So that's all coming up. Lots more meetups, like I said. We got 172 total super chats. So I'm going to power through these as best I can. Okay. Do I read biblical scholars as a practicing Christian? Do you try to incorporate current scholarship into my ministry? Yes, I do. I try to approach it. Obviously, Christianity is my worldview, and I'm going to see everything through my own biases, as everybody does. But it's important to me for my faith that when I approach that stuff like biblical scholarship and archaeology and stuff like that, that I'm looking at it not only with my heart and with my faith, but also with my brain. So I try to approach it with all of that, if that makes sense. Huge fan of, there's a channel that I absolutely love. And once things calm down in Israel and Gaza, I want to do, he does some stuff. It's a channel called Expedition Bible. They have 1 million subscribers. And I love his channel. Some great stuff that he does. Congrats, a fan from 2021 overrated historical figure. Interesting. Malik, thank you. I appreciate that. Congrats on 500K. Oh, yeah, we already saw that one. Awesome. Looking forward to it, Pat. How disappointed are you that Creative Arts canceled their Total War, the Great War project? Extremely, extremely. There are some mods for the Great War, though, on Total War. I'm really excited about my friend Griffin, the armchair historian. He's got his new game coming out in about a month that looks fantastic. I'm really excited to dive into that one. Sean Hicks, thank you so much. Been a fan for 4 years. Helped inspire you to major in political science. Awesome. You're in your first semester in college. Silly question. What's your favorite campaign to study? Yours is Ford's 1976. That's a really fascinating one, actually. For me, I think, let me think about that for a minute. Favorite campaign. Honestly, 1896 is one I'm really fascinated by, William Jennings Bryan and William McKinley, just because of the local ties for me. I think maybe 1896 is one I'm really interested in. Hey, Sam, thank you for that so much. I really appreciate that. All the best from Canada. Who had the most consequential president from the Cold War? Ooh. I would be really curious to see what people in the chat have to say about this one. And Michael, I call him Baltimore Mike because we've had a bunch of other Michaels that have gone on tours, but Mike's been on pretty much every tour that I've done. Mike's one of the great friends, and you actually see his profile picture. That's Neuschwanstein Castle. That's from the very first group tour that I ever did when we went. We started in Munich, went to Salzburg, ended up in Vienna. I think I'm going to go with this is what I was thinking, is what Empress Mermaid said, Eisenhower. And a couple of other people said him as well. I think a lot of people will say Reagan, which I can see that as well. I think Eisenhower. I think Eisenhower set the tone in a lot of ways for the U.S. end of the Cold War, our side of things. So, yeah, I would say I think I would go with Eisenhower. Lord Visa, thank you so much. You and Mr. Beat going to meet Metatron one day. I don't know if Mr. Beat will, but I definitely will meet Metatron. I actually could have met him a few weeks ago when I was in his neck of the woods, but I was just on a really tight schedule and just couldn't work it out. But he and I have talked about that, and we'll definitely will meet, and we will definitely collaborate at some point. And you're going to see me in some more Mr. Beat videos coming up real soon. He was just in Ohio about a month ago, and we did some stuff on Garfield and McKinley that you'll see coming out. Original content on firearms history. Yeah, you know what? I've actually toyed with the idea. I actually shot some stuff to do a video on some Civil War firearm history that I haven't finished yet, but I could see that happening. Henka, thank you so much. I learned a lot. Greetings from Finland. Would love to get to Finland someday. I want to get to a lot of places, but Finland's definitely on the list. Sean, thank you so much. I've been watching since 2021, really revived my interest in history, especially Civil War topics. Thank you so much. One of the greatest compliments that people give me is that right there, what Sean just said, many of you have said, which is that because of vlogging through history, you have either discovered a passion for history for the first time, or you've had your passion for history reignited. And that has led you to, on your own, kind of take a deeper dive. That means the world to me. And if I've accomplished nothing else with this channel but that, I will consider that what I have done is a success, really, for sure. All right, where are we at? Cutting room floor. Thank you. Which Sherman book is on the shelf? Actually, I just addressed that, so I know you asked that question about an hour ago. That's how far behind I am on the super chats, but I showed you that book. So, Honoring the Departed. Is that a YouTube channel? Ooh, I'm going to have to check that out. Thank you for that. Ever spoken at the Royal Canadian Military Institute in Toronto? No, but that would be really cool. I would love that. Admin@vthonline.com. Admin@vthonline.com is my business email address. I'm actually bringing somebody on to handle a lot of the administrative stuff because with the channel growing as much as it has, and with all the different things I'm doing, like tours and podcasts and other channels and things like that, the thing I've had the hardest time keeping up with have been the messages that I get, the emails that I get, the messages on Instagram and Facebook, and all the comments and everything. So admin@vthonline.com is the email. That's not an email for people to just email me to give me recommendations for videos to watch or to say, hey, I have a question for you. That's more for booking and contact information and collaboration for other YouTubers and podcasts and things like that. So admin@vthonline.com. Josh, thank you. Josh Isley Spaceport. Nice Star Wars reference there. From down the road in Akron. I was just in Akron, as you might have seen. As a former paratrooper, I appreciate the Band of Brothers content. Awesome. Go Browns. Very cool. And thank you for your service. Very, very cool. Which U.S. president, in your opinion, was the greatest speech writer or orator? Well, here's the thing. a lot of presidents don't write their own speeches. So you might have to break those into different categories. If I'm going with speech writer, I would have to go with Washington or Lincoln, probably Lincoln. Lincoln's first inaugural address, which I quoted in my message that I gave at University of Akron the other day, but especially the Gettysburg Address and the second inaugural, two of the greatest speeches in American history. Second inaugural, especially. If you go to the Lincoln Memorial, you'll see on either wall, when you walk up to the statue, on one side you have his second inaugural, on one side you have the Gettysburg Address. So speech writer, Lincoln. Probably then Washington after that. His farewell address, phenomenal. Speech giver has to be Reagan. Has to be Reagan. He was an actor. There's a reason they call him the great communicator. Phenomenal communicator. Whatever you think about his politics, I think everybody agrees, phenomenal communicator. And there's some recency bias for me because he's the first president that I remember in my life. Mobile, yes, definitely want to get to Mobile, Alabama. Your mom is a general manager at a courtyard. Very cool, American nerd. I'll keep that in mind. House of Percy again, thank you. Both our names are Chris. Both of our sons love chess. Both love history. Both are Christians. Both descendants of Hotspur. Hello, cousin. Yeah, I descend from Hotspur through the Clifford family. John the Butcher Clifford, who's in Shakespeare's plays. He's the guy who kills the Earl of Rutland during the Wars of the Roses, is my ancestor. He's a descendant. That's where the Cliffords tie into the Percys for me. Conspiracy theory, you are me from the future, come back in time to save the future. I love it. Tim Gladiator, thank you. Person I look up to in these times in American history. People like you remind us that the American experiment isn't done. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I love the Five Nights at Freddy's icon there in your profile picture. Congrats, Sam Nixon. Thank you for that. For those of you not familiar, Dustin, yes, Obama was a great speaker. I don't think in the same category as Reagan, though, but definitely was. The Sam Nixon thing goes back to a video I did where I did a video looking at what the internet says about me. And I stumbled upon this website that ranked me as one of the 5 best, or maybe 10 best, one of the best history of India YouTube channels. And it said that Vlogging Through History is a YouTube channel about Indian history run by Sam Nixon. And so there's this ongoing joke where people call me Sam Nixon. Tottenham Hotspur is named after Henry Hotspur Percy, who was the Earl of Northumberland, who was killed in the Battle of Shrewsbury fighting against the future Henry V. It was a battle where the future Henry V took an arrow to the face, which is an incredible story in and of itself. And Shrewsbury is an amazing town, by the way. I did a video from there that I haven't uploaded yet to VTH Extra. Okay, let's see. Where are we at? Just curious when you're doing the Discord tier list video. Actually, I'm hoping to do that next week, Dalton. I think it'll be next week. I'll get to that. I've actually got a sponsor for that video. So I'm waiting on some information from the sponsor. Once the sponsorship stuff's squared away, then we'll do that. Here's something you guys might not know about sponsorships. You'll notice I've only done like 2 ever sponsorships. A lot of YouTube channels make the majority of their money from sponsorships. I mean, sponsorships are huge money if you get the right one. Some of these channels with a couple million subscribers that get a sponsorship, I'm telling you, I don't know how much, say, Oversimplified makes. I guarantee you Oversimplified's sponsorship deals are probably in the tens of thousands of dollars to do like a 90-second sponsorship. Guaranteed. Been offered for sponsorships. So I can't even imagine how much money some of these channels are making. I just don't do that many for a couple of reasons. One, because I'd have to believe in what I'm being sponsored by. I'm not just going to do like Raid Shadow Legends, which I've been offered, by the way, because I don't play it. and it's not something that I want to recommend to my audience. And so there's an integrity thing for me there. So if it's a sponsorship, it's got to be something that I'm actually like comfortable recommending to the audience. Number two, there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through. When you do a sponsorship, you have to record the video, including the stuff you do for the sponsorship. You have to send it to the brand who's sponsoring you, and they'll tell you like things they want to change. I did a sponsorship for MyHeritage, was one of the 2 that I've done. I had to do that video like 4 times before they approved it. So it's a lot of work, and sometimes can cause you to just get exasperated with it. But yeah, there's a lot of channels. I've seen some channels on YouTube, like 20% of their revenue comes from ad revenue, from the ads that run on YouTube, Patreon, and then ad revenue. And that's pretty much it. I don't really do sponsorships. So a lot of people do a lot of them. So, okay. Congrats. Been watching for a long time now. Well deserved. Heading back to Manchester for the 2nd time in August. Didn't do a lot of history stuff in Manchester when I was there. I was only there for a day, and I was going with the guys from from another YouTube channel that took me around for the day. They've got some cool railroad stuff in the Manchester area, like some old steam railroad stuff, which is pretty cool. But other than that, I haven't seen a lot. Hey, Bay State History, what's going on? Definitely check out Bay State History's channel when you get a chance. Good stuff. Wouldn't be where I am without you. I appreciate that. I love Okay. That was weird. Hey, Nathan from Egypt. Thank you for that. Good to see you, man. I think you should have seen yourself. If you didn't already, watch the video when I make it live, the 500K celebration video. You're in it. So you'll see yourself in there. So who do I think is the most influential Ohioan ever? Man, that's quite a list. Got to be the Wright brothers, right? I mean, we've had some great ones, right? I mean, we've had the Wright brothers. We've got Grant and Sherman. We've had Neil Armstrong, born on the same day as me. Same day, different year. John Glenn, of course. We've had, LeBron James, and a lot of famous people. Clark Gable, when we talk about famous actors. Ty Cobb is from Ohio. Man, we got some crazy history in Ohio as far as famous people, and I'm missing a lot. Stephen as well. He's from Dayton. Man, we've had so many. Hey, Metalhead Dub, congratulations. Well deserved. Hope you come back to Dublin again soon. It was great having a few pints with you. Yes, I wore the Dublin jersey in a video I did after I came back. I'll definitely wear it again sometime soon. But thank you. I had an amazing time in Ireland. Two of my favorite meetups that I've ever done. We had so many people show up in Dublin. We couldn't even go inside at the pub. We had to be outside. We had like 45 people show up to the meetup in Dublin with very little advance notice that it was happening. That was such a great day. I had a blast in Ireland. JK, my boyfriend Carson and I love watching your content. Keep it up. Thank you, JK. I appreciate that. And shout out to your boyfriend Carson. Nathan, thank you. Hypothetically, if you ran for POTUS, which history YouTuber would be my VP choice? To be honest, I think it probably would be Matt Beat, because a lot of people have joked about that, right? Because he and I think, are on opposite ends of the reasonable political spectrum. I'm a center-right conservative. I think he's more of a center-left libertarian. But we see eye to eye. We get along great. And I think that he and I together, working together, could actually accomplish a lot of good things for the country. So yeah, I'd probably pick him. He and I disagree. A great example of how two people who see the world differently see the issues differently can find a lot of common ground and actually be really good friends. Josh, thank you for that. Ranny, that's a cool name. There was a Ranny in Easy Company, Band of Brothers. Just a comfort and familiarity that you love. Awesome. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Peter Franks, I'm trying to get through these guys. I'm an hour and 5 minutes behind on the super chats, so I apologize for that. In honor of my dad's recent burial, I'm sorry to hear that, Peter. I'm sorry you're going through that. Favorite historical New York City movie or history? Hard mode, no Harlem Hellfighters. Okay. History story, New York City. Oh, it's got to be Alexander Hamilton. He's so iconic when it comes to New York City, right? That whole 1776, the Battle of New York, is a fascinating time to me. But that period, the early history of New York City, when it first started growing and like immigration's happening, like the gangs of New York time period, is really fascinating to me as well. That's probably what I would say. But Harlem Hellfighters would have been my choice had you not taken it away from me in hard mode. Dogtown Girl in Soho, thank you for that. Thoughts on John Quincy Adams, one of the, if not the most qualified person who ever served as president. That guy's resume is ridiculous when you look at everything he accomplished before he became president. So yeah, fascinating guy, underrated as a not only as a American but as a president as well. It's funny that you mentioned VTH for state rep. You're not the first person to say that lately. I have no interest in politics at all. It's just too ugly for me. But I fancy enough, one of my high school congressman, Michael Ruley, his wife I graduated with her from high school. So that's kind of cool. And he was our state senator before he was elected to the Congress. Just finished your master's in museum studies. Very cool, Emily. Got a job lined up? Where are you planning on working? I would love to come to your museum someday if you work in one. John, thank you so much. Wondering if you could do a video on a secret war in Laos. A big gap in my history knowledge. Southeast Asia in the 50s and 60s and 70s. I don't know nearly enough about that time period and Vietnam and all that stuff like that. I need to learn more. And I want to visit Southeast Asia at some point, especially Thailand. That whole area, though, is fascinating to me. At some point I need to cover more of that topic. I think you're right. Have I heard of Wendigoon? I have heard of Wendigoon. I can't say that I've ever seen any of the videos. But the Battle of Blair Mountain would actually be a really fascinating one to do because that's a really interesting topic to me. Is the Battle of that battle? So something I'll have to check out. Well, it's getting warm in here. I have the air conditioner turned off. I have a window air conditioner in here, and it was raining today. It's the first time in like a month that it has rained here. My grass has not been cut for 5 weeks, and it still doesn't need cut. That's how bad it's been. What do I think the biggest difference between Marlboro and Wellington? We do call them by titles. I don't know that Wellington was tested the way that Marlboro was. I have my hesitation about putting Wellington higher on my list of generals just because I don't know that he ever really faced the best of the best. And I don't really count Napoleon at Waterloo because I'd like to have seen what Wellington would have done against Napoleon in, say, 1809 to get a better indication. Do I mow my own grass? I do not. I actually pay. I have a service that comes and does it. I just don't have time, unfortunately. I did for a long, long time. And my son, my youngest son, mows the grass at his mom's house. So I could have probably paid him to do my grass too, but I don't. Okay, let's see. Here's a World War II question. Thank you for that one, Faded Gunner. Would a loss at Midway really change anything? I agree with you. It changes the timeline and nothing more. I think the U.S. victory at Midway sped up the timeline of the war in the Pacific. The U.S. was always focused on a Europe first policy, so it was always going to put its primary focus on Europe. But one way or another, when the war in Europe was over, all those resources go to the Pacific. It ends the same way. And at that point, maybe it even goes better in a sense, because the atomic bomb gets developed before they take some of those last islands and suffer a lot of casualties at places like Okinawa, which went terribly for the Americans, and ended up kind of being unnecessary, because by then we developed the B-29, which could reach from a longer range, even though we needed places like Tinian and some of those smaller islands as places for the planes, especially if they were damaged. Yeah, I don't think it changes the outcome. Pat became a member. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're slowly getting caught up here. Let me know next time you're in St. Louis. I need to get back to St. Louis, Grant's Farm. I got to go to Grant's Farm in St. Louis. I got to go to the place where he died in New York. I have been to Sherman's grave. You know who else is buried in that same cemetery is Dred Scott. He's also buried. So there's two cemeteries in St. Louis. There's Bellefontaine, and then there's, I forget the name of it, but the Catholic cemetery, and they're right next to each other. There's like a road that runs between them. And Sherman and his family are buried in the Catholic cemetery, as is, I think, Elmira Hancock. General Hancock's wife is she in the Catholic one? I mix up in my mind who's in which, because it's all kind of one big complex. But in those cemeteries, you have Don Carlos Buell. Rush Limbaugh, I think, is buried in the Bellefontaine cemetery now. The Anheuser-Busch family are buried there. But Dred Scott's in the Catholic cemetery. Calvary Cemetery is the Catholic one. Okay, very cool. You're kind of my comfort viewing. Very cool. I appreciate that, Dogtown Girl. It's funny how many people tell me that like they go to sleep to my videos, and hey, I take it as a compliment, because there's no such thing as bad watch time. So if my voice is comforting to you when you sleep, I have channels that I fall asleep watching. It's not always intentional, but I watch YouTube at night when I'm in bed, and I fall asleep. And here's the thing: it's when you're married for 20 years and then suddenly you're not, and you have kids, but your kids go back and forth every other week, and so half the time I'm living alone. It's tough, especially early on. And the worst part by far of getting a divorce was not seeing my kids every day, which is just awful to me. My kids are my world. And it guts me that I don't see them every day. But I thankfully can stay connected with them with texting and the phone and sports, and I get to see them even on days I don't have them. But the hardest times for me during a week is like this Thursday when they go back to their moms, and I go to bed that night and it's just me. It's a very lonely feeling. It's a very empty feeling, and it can be very difficult for me. And so I usually just have the TV on just for the noise and the distraction. The silence is really, really hard. Especially when you have kids that are, in their teens still. It's hard. It is. But anyway, you're an Aussie. Do I know much Aussie history? No, unfortunately I don't. I need to learn more, and I need to get there. I really, really, really want to get to Australia and New Zealand. Once I get to 50 states, which I'll knock off Rhode Island and then Utah, my next goal is to get to all 7 continents. I've been to, obviously, North America and Central America. I've been to Europe. I've been to Africa. I'm going to be going to Asia for the first time in February. That'll be 4. That'll leave Australia, Oceania, South America, and Antarctica. Hopefully make that happen. Okay. Congrats. I hope you get to celebrate the achievement with your loved ones and not just your fans on this platform. Yeah, I do. My kids are here right now. They actually weren't, my boys weren't here when I started streaming, but I think right about the moment that we hit 500,000 subs, I heard the boys walk in with Taco Bell. They brought some for their sister as well. So they both had practice after school. My older son, soccer practice, and my younger son had cross country. So they were coming back from that. Drew, thank you. A band called 1914, and they only do music about World War I. Ooh, interesting. I mean, I love Sabaton, so that's right up my alley. Big Tank, thank you so much from Nigeria. Appreciate that. Awesome. I've noticed pro-Confederate people going mask off online now, admitting, sure, the South left because of slavery, but that's their right. Madness. Nah, Sulla, I'm with you. It is madness. No, I'm glad they lost that war. Big Tank, thank you so much for being a member. Appreciate that. Trevor, thank you. Have I any recommendations for historical sites to see in Tennessee? Depends on what part of Tennessee. Great stuff. The Franklin Battlefield, really cool. I was just there. Got some videos coming from that on stories of the Civil War. Stones River Battlefield's right there. I love the Shiloh Battlefield. If you go check that out. If you're in Eastern Tennessee, Smoky Mountains is really cool. It's not really history necessarily, but a cool place to visit. Chattanooga, you've got the Medal of Honor History Center there. You've got the Chattanooga National Cemetery where Desmond Doss is buried. The Andrews Raiders are there. The first recipients of the Medal of Honor ever are buried there. The first posthumous recipients are buried there. And right outside of Chattanooga, you've got Lookout Mountain and Missionary Ridge. And then you've got Chickamauga Battlefield right there. So lots of great Civil War history in Tennessee. Outside of Nashville, you also have the Hermitage, which is Andrew Jackson's house and grave. Back to a video on New Zealand land wars, an interesting topic. There's some interesting parallels and differences between the wars against Native Americans. Interesting. Very cool. I want to do some New Zealand history, especially before I eventually get there. Sulla, Kimmings Axon, I've seen those reports, Sulla, and I addressed this earlier, so I won't get back into it. But after that, there were other reports that refuted that and said that there were quotes from people directly tied to the decision who said, no, we had no contact with the FCC. The FCC had nothing to do with it. But I agree with you. Just the fact that the FCC chair said stuff like that puts kind of a stain on the whole thing and definitely makes us ask those questions, whether it happened or not. Got to show from some love for Franklin Pierce. I agree. Sympathy for his story and his struggles. Brutal story, what he went through, not only battling alcoholism, but witnessing the horrific and gruesome death of his only son, and then having his wife blame his election as president for the death of their son. Just brutal stuff. And being president at one of the worst times in history to be president in the build up to the Civil War. Jonathan, thank you. Been watching since COVID. I appreciate that. All right, we're going to plow through the rest of these as best I can. And I apologize to you who may be asking questions that aren't super chats. We've got 194 super chats. So it's all I can do just to get through all the super chats right now. Just opened up my root beer. I can't drink caffeine at 8 o'clock at night or I won't sleep tonight. Okay. Where was I at? What's your opinion about Governor Warren's performance during the Battle of the Wilderness and the treatment he got from Sheridan? I agree on one hand. I think Warren got unfairly treated in that. I've always believed Phil Sheridan to be a little overrated as a general, but I will give Sheridan his props. Having just made some videos at the Stones River Battlefield, Sheridan's one of the reasons the Union won that battle. He was prepared when other division commanders crapped the bed at that battle on the Union side, I'll say. So I give him a lot of credit for that, but I still think he's a little overrated. Pipe Major Isaac, you're going to be on the Scotland tour. Awesome. Don't mind if I bring a set of bad pipes. No, not at all. You're in Glasgow. Hey, you got to stop by my great-great-great-grandfather's pub. It's on Paisley Road. It's the Old Toll. It's right across the street from the Grand Ole Opry in Glasgow. And it still looks like it did in the 1880s. And my great-great-great-grandfather, who came to America from Glasgow, he owned that pub. It's an amazing piece of history. They filmed Peaky Blinders in there. The guy who did the song Wellerman, soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. His very first music video he shot in that pub. I've been there and had a drink there with my sons. Check it out. And yes, bring your pipes, 100%. That I'll definitely shoot some video of that for the channel. That'll be awesome. Pat, soccer history might be interesting. Lots of interesting history in European football clubs. I agree 100%. That would be a topic worth doing. I've done a little bit of it, but not much. Here's a bribe to cover alternate his Terry. Yes, I am going to react to some of Mr. Terry's original content here in the near future, for sure. He's got, if you haven't seen it, Mr. Terry Originals is a channel. And I was one of the people who suggested that for a name. So congrats on 500. Glad to be along for the ride. Very cool. Thank you. Time for a record deal. Didn't know you're a tenor. I'm kind of a tenor. I'm kind of a halfway in between baritone and tenor. I'm not quite as high as I'd like to be a tenor. Favorite book behind you? Love from Belgium. Favorite book behind me. Okay. Give me a second on that. Some of these, I'm ashamed to admit I haven't even read yet. Wow, there's so many choices here. I'm going to go with The Plantagenets by Dan Jones. Love Dan Jones. He's my favorite author for medieval history. Of the books that are behind me, that's my favorite. Because some of the books that I've read or listened to, I've done audio books. My favorite all-time book is Grant by Ron Chernow. And then Grant's memoir is probably second to that. But those were both audio books for me. I don't have physical copies, though I am hoping to get my hands on a first printing of Grant's memoirs at some point. That's on my bucket list of memorabilia to own at some point. And I love Belgium, Timon. Thank you for that. Your last name was Wiseman. One of your German ancestors who came to Botkins, Ohio, had two N's in the previous name in the early 1900s. Yeah, really common thing for names to get changed. Obviously, oh, my sister just texted me. I've been getting texts from my sister. I got to catch up on this. So Weissman, yeah, two N's, pretty common for German. A lot of those changes happen. My name went through several iterations over the generations. It was Maurer, M-A-U-R-E-R. Then it became M-O-U-R. Or M-O-U-R-E-R, then it became M-O-U-R-Y. Down in Kentucky, where my family eventually settled, they were first in Pennsylvania, the German settlers. Then they went to Virginia. Then they went to what is now West Virginia, and then went to Eastern Kentucky. By the time they got to Kentucky, it was Maury. They pronounced it Maury, and that's how they still pronounce it down there, is Maury, even though we spell it M-O-W-E-R-Y. All right, let me catch up with my sister's texts here. I know you're doing your live stream right now, but one of the ads on your stream was for Fireball Blazing Apple. What the heck? That's a real thing that exists, and I don't have it yet, and my sister got an ad for it. Oh, I'm getting that. That is definitely going in the bar for me. Wow, that's awesome. And then she said, when are you going to Scotland again? I want to go. Danielle, I'm sorry that one's sold out, and I have like 7 people on the waiting list. I can't add anybody else to that one. Just saw about the bagpipes. Oh, so see, that enticed her. I'll probably do a second Scotland tour. You can go the second time. And maybe Jordan, if you think I'd enjoy it. If you have enough vacation time, Danielle, I do have an empty +1 spot for Jordan. So you're welcome to go. So we can talk about that. I'll text you after the stream's over. So DeWine or Husted in 2028. Husted's running for Senate, right? DeWine's not going to run again. He's in his 80s. He's been governor, he's been lieutenant governor, he's been senator, he's been attorney general. What else does he have to do? He's not running. I don't think he's running in 2028. You talking for Senate? I mean, he'd be like in his mid to late 80s by that point. Or are you talking about his son, Pat? You might be talking about his son. I was actually hoping that Jim Tressel would run for governor next year, but he said he's not. So, hey, the American Battlefield Trust is in the house. One of my favorite channels right there. Love those guys. Cannot say enough good things about the work that they do to preserve and teach history. Man, so many of the best historical sites in the United States that you can visit, you can only visit because of the work of the American Battlefield Trust. My friends Gary and Chris and a bunch of other folks that work with the American Battlefield Trust, top-notch people. You got to visit them. You got to check out their channel, some of the best content on YouTube. It hasn't been that long ago that Gary from the American Battlefield Trust and me and JD were in the fields of the Antietam battlefield, and we made a video together celebrating that our channels combined had hit 1 million subscribers between the three of us. Now JD on his own is at 750,000. I just went over 500,000, and the American Battlefield Trust is at 462,000. So combined now we're at 1.5 million. That's awesome. That's amazing. Very cool. Love those guys. Sam, what Erica did yesterday shook the country. Communication is done through words and actions. She forgave a man that killed her husband. And I hope so. As a Christian, while there were some not so great things that happened at that event, and I haven't seen them all, I've heard about some of them, but I loved what she did, and I loved what other people did. We as Christians need to start showing the best of who we are. People need to know us more for our love and our forgiveness and our grace and our standing for what we believe, while also understanding that we are sinners, that we believe with all our hearts that we are sinners who are saved by grace. We're not better than anybody else. And we need to start living what we say we believe and stop being known by the worst of us and start being known for the best of being Christ-like. And that was definitely a glimpse of that with how she spoke yesterday. Our engine, Père Marquette 1225, was built in November of 41. Awesome. Delivered to the railroad the day before Pearl Harbor. Wow. I don't know if you know this, but the Warner Brothers got their start here in Youngstown, Ohio. That's where Warner Brothers started before they went out west. Adam, hey, what's going on, man? Adam is also in the slideshow that you saw that I showed earlier to celebrate from Dublin, Trinity University in Dublin. Got to do an event with them, and Adam's a great guy. Really glad I got to connect with all of them while we were there. Martin, thank you for that. In your ADHD mind, sometimes I hear random stuff and have to check up. One I heard last week was Portland, Oregon was named after a coin toss. Is that true? I actually don't know if that's true or not. Somebody will have to answer in the chat whether that's true. Spooky Boy, thank you for that. Been watching since 15,000 subs. Amazing. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you sticking around and not getting sick of me after all this time. Lifelong Ohioan from the Akron, Cleveland area. Very cool. OH, baby. OH. Mr. Railyard, more love for railway history. Yes, for sure. Any tips for a guy who loves history, poli-sci, but doesn't want to be a teacher? Side note, are your teeth real? Yeah, they're a little whiter than I thought they'd come out. I had a bunch of work done about 10 months ago. If you go back and watch some of my older videos, I'm talking like back when I had my old gaming channel, you'll see I don't look a lot different than I do now. But if you look at more recent videos from like 2 years ago, a year ago, I started developing an underbite, a real bad underbite. caused me to whistle a lot when I talked. It was making it harder to chew. I was getting like jaw pain from it. So I had some extensive dental work done to fix the underbite, which meant that I got some fancy pearly whites in the process. Little whiter than I thought that they would be, but yeah, wasn't cheap, but it was medically necessary, just long term for my health, because of the underbite that I had. And yeah, I took an adjustment period. I had a slur for a while when I talked. In fact, about 2 months after I had the work done, I filmed 4 episodes for Unbelievable with Dan Aykroyd. And I haven't seen any of my parts air yet. And I'm wondering if it was unusable because of the S's that I was saying and the way that I talked at the time because of the work that I had done. So anyway, yeah. So doesn't want to be a teacher. Yeah. Find ways to embrace your love. I mentioned this earlier. Get involved with like group trips, like what we're doing. Volunteer at a museum or at a battlefield or some historic site. The majority of historic sites that you visit are run by volunteers, and they do incredible, important work. And you could do that even if you did like a couple hours on a weekend. Just get involved. Find places that you can get involved. Go do an archaeological dig team somewhere. Those kinds of things. Foodify, thank you so much for that. Pat, Jordan's going to be an awesome. Yes, I am super excited. All of the group trips are amazing, not just because of all the history that we experience, but because of the friendships that we build, and the nightlife is even fun. I don't know how much nightlife we'll have in Jordan because you're not going to be finding a lot of pubs in Jordan, but or in Egypt for that matter, but it's still going to be a lot of fun. Congrats. You ever watched the drama series Britannia? No, I haven't. That sounds right up my alley, though. Roman expansion in Britain. Very cool. Where are we at? We are still an hour behind. Okay. I'm going to ask everybody to not do any more super chats. While I'm grateful for them, we have 205 of them. And I've got a lot to get through. And I'm just afraid I'm not going to get to them all if I keep having more come in. So I'd love to stream all night. I really would. But at some point I need to go check on my kids, and I need to eat dinner, and I need to rest a little bit. I got to be up at 6 a.m. take my son to school. So family and I were watching an ABC special about Disneyland's 70th anniversary. Amazed about how much history is involved, not just the park, but the tech involved with the rides. Wow. I didn't know that. That's very cool. Josh, congrats from Buffalo. Videos on the Erie Canal or Fort Niagara. So yeah, Erie Canal, something I'm super fascinated by. I've been to the site of the McKinley assassination. On my old gaming channel, I did like a short video, like a 2-minute video clip. It's like on the median in a residential neighborhood. It's like a rock with a plaque on it. And that's where McKinley was assassinated. It's the site of the Temple of Music where McKinley was shot. Bessie, thank you for membership. Appreciate that. History with Hannibal. What music do I like? Do I want to be jacked like Mr. Beat? I would love to be jacked like Mr. Beat. I don't think I could put in the time to be jacked like Mr. Beat. I don't have enough time for the things I want to do as it is. Plus, he's a little younger than me. Favorite music? Let's see. I love Sabaton. Sabaton's. I'm not a metal lover per se, but I love Sabaton. And they're doing a headlining tour in North America, and I've already got my tickets for the Pittsburgh show next spring. Taking my kids to that. I love Ed Sheeran. I'm a huge Ed Sheeran fan. Christian music. I listen to a lot of Christian music. Brandon Heath, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Crowder. I love Crowder. There's a lot of other ones too. Lady A, country music. Garth Brooks, Brad Paisley. I've been a supporter for a few years now. You're going to pursue content creation. Very cool. Papalu, good luck with that. Grind it out, man. I mean, it doesn't come easy. Takes a lot of work, takes a lot of time, takes a lot of making mistakes. I don't know any YouTubers who look back at videos they made a year ago and like what they see. Like most of us look back on videos even a year ago and we cringe and we're like, ooh, did I really say that? Did I really do that? Did I really shoot it that way? You learn, you grow, you get better. You see what works, what doesn't. John, what's going on, my friend? John was on a group trip recently. We had a blast, and he's coming on another one. Excited about that. Looking forward to the upcoming trips. Yes, sir. I cannot wait to make those memories with you. John's one of those people that is going to be a friend for the rest of my life because we got to experience history together and had an amazing time doing it. Favorite college football tradition outside OSU? Oh, it's got to be, is it Iowa that does that? They wave to the kids in the hospital. Love that. Love that so much. Other than that, I would say I love Enter Sandman, Virginia Tech. That one's pretty cool too. Okay, let's see. Let's get caught up. In your opinion, who's the most mediocre president pre-Civil War and the most mediocre post-Civil War? Mediocre, so like middle of the road, average, not great, not awful. Pre-Civil War. Post-Civil War, I think it's a little easier for me. I would say Benjamin Harrison. Pre-Civil War, mediocre president. See, we had some great ones and we had some awful ones. Who was mediocre? No, I'll go with John Quincy Adams as a mediocre pre-Civil War president. Luke, thank you for that. I would like to say, as someone who's more in the MAGA wing of things, I'm still a big fan of yours and Beats channels. I really appreciate the cover. Glad to have you. I'm glad to have people on the left, on the right, in the middle, everywhere in between. Love it. John, my friend, when are we going back to Pompeii? Oh my gosh. When people ask me what's the coolest historic site you've ever been to, it's Pompeii. Pompeii was incredible. Definitely got to get back there because I was in Pompeii. I think I was there longer than anybody else. Most of them went back to the hotel before I did. I was there for like 4.5 hours walking around Pompeii, and I didn't even see half of it. I mean, oh gosh, what a cool site. If you're into Roman history at all, wow. And then we got to see Herculaneum. Then we got to go up to the top of Mount Vesuvius, which we didn't do. A video on the impact of Tolkien. Yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to get to Oxford and do some stuff on him at some point. Yes, we will definitely see more new campaign trail at some point in the near future for sure. Oh, hey, I got a text from Matt, who is my ex brother-in-law now. He's married to my ex-wife's sister. He's also got a YouTube channel. If you are into like the paranormal and like those kinds of things, like, you know, Bigfoot and Wolfman stories and those sorts of things, you want to check out his channel. His channel. Let me give you the information on that so you can check it out. I want to make sure I get the exact at right on that. So his channel is called Planet 412. If you want the actual at, I'm going to put it in the chat. It's Planet 412, all spelled out. I'm going to put that in the link in the chat right there. So if you're into that sort of thing, he's got 21,000 subscribers now. But he just texted me and said that they were listening and said congratulations. And once we've been talking about doing some kind of a collaboration. I have so many people that like reach out about collaborating, and we talk about it. And so yeah, Matt, we'll get there. I promise we are going to do something at some point. Kieran, who I've met as well, 80,000 patron. I appreciate that. All your love for that. You've been around for a really long time. All right, where are we at? Okay. TYZJ, thank you for that. Any plans about Chinese and Indian history? Yes. Need to get back to both of those. And China is definitely on the short list of upcoming group trips. It's not one that's been planned yet, but it's definitely one we've talked about, and it will be happening. I 100% want to get to China. That is definitely, I would say in the next year and a half, there will be a China group tour happening. And I'll definitely dive into some history when I do that. If I could create a museum, who would it be in or of? So let me know if you need a curator. Eldon, I thank you for that. We've got a lot of great museums. I would probably do a really like first class, top of the line, bring everything together museum about Grant down in the Cincinnati area, where he was born and grew up. Been regularly watching since 100K. Moose, love the image there. No one deserves this more than you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm going to try to go a little faster with these guys. Okay. Thanks for the great content. Come visit my home state of Utah. It's usually safe. Yeah. Not great in the news for you right now, but I know it is. And I definitely need, it'll be state number 50 for me. So I'm going to make a big deal of that when I get to Utah. Plus that's where Mr. Terry is. So I'll definitely have to hang out with him. Maybe Mr. Terry and I will do like a joint meetup when we're in Utah, when I'm in Utah. That'd be a fun thing to do there. You should react to "We are not ready for super intelligence by AI in context." Interesting. Yeah, I think we will definitely be having more conversations about AI as far as how it's used in the history space. I've done some of that already, but definitely will be more. Congratulations from Wales. Love Wales, Liam. Pursue history as a job. If I do videos about World War I, Belgium, I have done some. I've done a bunch of videos in Belgium. I haven't done a lot about the Belgians themselves, but I did a whole series in the Ypres salient from Belgium on stories of the Great War. Big Tank, love to see reactive videos about African history. Yes, especially because my own ancestry, West Africa. I actually, in my DNA profile, you can actually see specifically the countries that my DNA comes from in Africa. That's a topic I want to cover more, is African history for sure. There's a lot of rich history there that I don't think it's talked about nearly enough. Celebrating with you while honoring Cheney. Angelique, I'm with you there. She's talking about her daughter who passed away tragically several years ago, and my heart is with you every time I see you post about that, Angelique. Can't imagine, as somebody who has walked with my own daughter through some challenges in her life, and weren't sure we weren't going to lose her a few times. My heart breaks for you, and I know that your world is never the same after something like that. And I have too many friends who have lost a child. Can't imagine. I'm so sorry that you have had to continue to go through that. Arrow, have I ever been to Canada? I have. I've been to Toronto. I've been to Niagara Falls. I'd like to get to Nova Scotia, to Newfoundland for sure. Get to Quebec, some of those areas. I'd like to get to the Northwest a little bit. Vancouver. Night Spearhead, thank you for that. Hey, we're getting caught up slowly but surely here. Get into ancient Mesopotamian history. Which civilization? For me, it's got to be the Persians, right? I mean, Persians. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but Dan Carlin, if you're into podcasts, somebody will know it and they'll say it in the chat. Dan Carlin has some great podcast episodes about the Persian history. So check that out. Continue to do God's work and bring light into this dark world. Thank you, Julian. Appreciate that. American Nerd, did I know the sci-fi movie Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, is a metaphor for the end of the Cold War? I didn't know that. I know it's not highly rated as one. Or no, I guess that one is. I was thinking of 5, the one that's not as highly rated. I guess I can see the parallels with the Cold War. Interesting. I didn't know that. Ginger with Soul. I love that. I love that username. Thank you for that. Who are the wildest troops in recent history, and why is it the Poles? Now it's actually the Canadians. The Poles are great, man. Polish history is amazing. You got the winged hussars. You got some of the stands they made during World War II. You got the uprising in Warsaw. But I got to give it to the Canadians. Have I watched Canadian Heritage Minute videos? No, I haven't. Who's the greatest Canadian in history? As a World War I historian, I got to go with their general, Curry. Curry is a fantastic, one of the best generals on the Western Front. Samuel Irish, congrats. Aspiring pastor in seminary. Very cool. And then you had to go and say, go blue. Oh, well, I love you anyway, Samuel. JME Lucky, you were my introduction into American history. I make my own historical fiction textbook. That's awesome. Very cool. Someone said Ryan Reynolds is the greatest Canadian. I love that. That's awesome. Arthur Curry. Yeah, it's got to be Arthur Curry for me. All right, where are we at? Great generals do you think could have made good or decent U.S. presidents? Scott, Bradley, Schwarzkopf. I think Bradley would have been a good one. I think he's even-keeled and even-tempered enough to have been president. Beyond that, wow. I don't know if Winfield Scott by the time. I don't know how I feel about that. Who else? Norman Schwarzkopf. Interesting. Wow, I'm trying to think of other presidents that would have made good generals that would have made good presidents. Stanley McChrystal, someone said. Oh, that's a good choice. Was Jimmy Stewart he was from Indiana, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has a town called California. It's got a town called Indiana. He's from Indiana, Pennsylvania. It's actually my ex-wife's grandfather was born near Indiana, Pennsylvania. And I used to do music in a coffee house, little cafe in a town in Indiana County, just right outside of that there. Should do some sort of trip through the New England area sometime. Oh yeah. Amazing history. Maine is beautiful. Boston's got a lot of great history that we could do. Just going to Boston and up to Lexington and Concord, so much history there. On and off watcher for many years. Columbus here. Very cool. Awesome. OH, baby. OH. Congrats. Found you through your president ranking videos and now agree with you on how bad Woodrow Wilson was. Awesome. Jack the Ripper content. Yeah, I want to do more. I actually want to do a video. I want to do a video from London, from Whitechapel, about the women. I want to tell their stories a little more. And not focus so much on the murders, but focus on their stories like before and during the time of the Whitechapel killings. Thoughts on how Bernard Montgomery was portrayed in the movie Patton? I never liked him as a general either. So I think it was probably fair. I think they both had similar strengths and weaknesses, but I think in the end, I think Patton was probably the better general, and I am very biased. So I'm willing to be proven wrong about that. Colton, thank you for that. You are the man. Have you ever listened to Louis C.K., Shane Gillis, U.S. President's 3-part podcast? I have not, but I'm always looking for a good podcast to listen to. Scott, thank you for that. A fellow pastor and history lover. Awesome. Very cool. And I'm looking there. Is that OU? You're an Oklahoma fan? Bob Stoops, who coached Oklahoma, is from right here in Youngstown, Ohio. He actually went to Cardinal Mooney High School, who my son's team just beat in soccer a few weeks ago. Do I think the Dems can take control of the House and Senate? The House, maybe. The Senate, probably not. A lot can happen between now and next year. It's hard to say what's going to happen. We have no idea. I mean, who would have known 3 weeks ago what the last 3 weeks were going to look like? We really have no idea what's going to happen. But yeah, they could. They could. They also might not. Big Mac, thank you. Don't comment much, but always look forward to the videos. Appreciate that. How do you balance your passion for history and your religious beliefs and your research for those topics? They balance perfectly. In fact, I think they often mesh because religion is intertwined with all of history. I think they complement each other really well. Okay, where are we at? Let's see. Congrats. Would love for you to check out U.S. versus the World by The Military Show. Okay, very cool. I'm just going to, again, let you guys know, please, let's not do any more super chats. I am getting caught up. I'm about a half hour behind now on the super chats, but we're going to be winding this down pretty soon. Hillsong, yes, I've listened to a lot of Hillsong over the years, their music, a lot of worship music. Santiago, thank you so much. One of my son, my youngest son's good friends is named Santiago. Great name. Appreciate that. The current environment makes me think the thing we need reform to address the root cause of ISS. You think you can have a great platform to cover this from a history point of view? Can you do more stuff like Mr. Beat's 10 Amendments video? Yeah, as I mentioned in a recent video after the Charlie Kirk assassination, I am going to talk, and I'm going to come at it, though, less from specific policy point of view and more from talking about how we can improve the dialogue and the mood and the temperature of our politics in this country. And in that process, maybe talk about places we can find middle ground on things. Congrats. Hey, there's Planet 412 right there. There's Matt. I was just talking about him. Thank you, Matt and Stacy and Amira. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate all your support over the years. I hope you guys are doing really well. Hey, listen, I've talked a lot tonight about my divorce. I get along great with my ex-wife's family, and actually, Tara and I, my ex-wife, we're at a pretty good place right now. Obviously, you don't go through 20 years of marriage and then go through a divorce without there being some difficult moments, obviously. But I think for the sake of our kids, we're in a pretty good place at the moment, and that's what I want. I want my kids to have two parents that love them and want the best for them and can get along well. And by extension, her family, her sister, her brother-in-law, her niece, her mom, they're still my family, even though we're not bound by marriage anymore. They are still family to me and will always be family to me. So I really appreciate that. Nathaniel, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate that. Hibachi Skylife, thank you so much. The Soul Phoenix, Southwest content. Yeah, I'm really into like Billy the Kid and that kind of stuff. I was just in Tombstone. I've been to Lincoln County, New Mexico. I spoke there for Rachel's Challenge. So I want to do more content from that. Randy Johnson, the pitcher. Yeah, great pitcher. Appreciate that membership. I appreciate it. Tower Dragon becoming a member. Thank you so much. I cannot read Cyrillic, which is what I think that is. I like your stance on nonviolence. Oh, love from Latvia. Very cool. Oh, I would love to visit Latvia, Estonia. Oh, man. I want to go to Russia as well. I hope that the day comes when that's something that's possible to do as an American. So much great history in Eastern Europe that I'd like to visit. Who's the worst Ohioan in your opinion? That's easy. Woodrow Wilson's dad. He was a minister who's from Northeast Ohio. He's from Steubenville, which is like an hour from me. Moved to the South, became a pro-slavery guy, pro-Confederacy, and fathered Woodrow Wilson. So he's the worst Ohioan. Other than that, I would say Jeffrey Dahmer is the worst Ohioan. Let's see. Tacos rule. I agree. Thank you for that. Just looked up your first video watch, July 4th, 2021. That was the first one you watched. Awesome. Appreciate that. Thoughts on Auburn University football team? I don't really think much about them. I'm an Ohio State fan, and we hate the SEC, so, you know. X Quintessential, thank you for that. Yeah, as I said earlier, had a lot of work done on my teeth. Had a lot of root canals. I've had 5 root canals over time. The root canal itself is not hard. It's the shot they give you to numb you before the root canal that is brutal. Michael, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Anthony, thank you. Been following since the beginning. Did I see Mr. B put John Adams as an A-tier founder? You thought he should have been S. I haven't watched it yet. I saw that he did Founding Fathers tier list. I'm guessing maybe he didn't put him in S tier because of his presidency, which is an understandable demotion in my eyes. But as a founder, A tier for sure. I mean, S tier for sure. If he was never president, I think S tier is easy. Ever played or thought about playing Empire Total War? Yeah, I actually did a bunch of Empire Total War on the gaming channel. X Quintessential, thank you for that. I usually watch you and Mr. Beat get to both sides of the aisle and respective opinions. It's important now more than ever. Yes. I'm not familiar with Fern. I'll have to check that channel out. Hard Scopes, thank you so much. What locations would you most recommend to visit on the Western Front? Verdun. Verdun is amazing because it still, so much of it looks like it did. Because like you have places like the Somme, which are amazing, and Ypres, which is amazing. But there's some sirens about to go by here. But a lot of those battlefields have been restored to their pre-war appearance. They're back to farmland and stuff. So you don't get to see that. Verdun, a lot of it remains as it was. There's incredible forts there like Douaumont, Fort Vaux. And then right next to Verdun, you have the battlefield of the Meuse-Argonne, where the largest battle in American history to this day was the Meuse-Argonne offensive. And it's right there at Verdun. You got the Lost Battalion right there. You've got where Alvin York got his Medal of Honor right there, all within like a half hour of Verdun. So I would start there for sure. Eastern France. Carson, oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. In the sea of expensive subscriptions, you are our bastion of free history. Thanks for being the New Age History Channel, even if you're on the real one too. Love from Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri, some of my favorite states. I'll tip to that. Thank you so much. I'm grateful for that. All right, we've been going for almost 3 hours. So, and I'm almost caught up with Super Chats. Awesome. Okay. What was the demonetized post on Instagram? Oh, okay. So, and what do I think of the countries that recognize the Palestinian state? I think for most people, I think long-term, the goal is probably a two-state solution. The problem is, what does that look like? I think there are a lot of major hurdles to overcome with the viability of a Palestinian state. I think in a perfect world, you have a civilian government in the Palestinian state that is not influenced by Hamas and can live at peace with Israel and with their neighbors, that Israel can live at peace with them and their neighbors, that we can find a peaceful solution. But of course, it's not that simple. And as long as influential and powerful people in places like Palestine have as a stated goal the erasure of Israel from the map, you're never going to have peace there. And as long as you have Israel doing what it's doing right now, you're never going to have peace there. And I don't have any easy answers for that, but I hope this is a step in the right direction. I do. So as far as demonetized goes, so here's what happened. So Friday, some of you may have seen a post about this. Friday, I got an email, and this is how I first found out. I got an email that said, hey, your memberships have been paused because you're no longer monetized. And I'm like, what? What is going on? Because I've heard of people being demonetized on YouTube before, which means you don't make any money from ad revenue, which for me is like 80% of my livelihood right off the bat, right? Like it's my income. That's like if you found out right now that you still had to go to work, but you weren't getting a paycheck anymore. That's what happened to me on Friday. But normally when that happens, YouTube tells you why. They say, here's why you've been demonetized. Here's the specific policy that you violated. And here's the place that you can appeal if you think we got it wrong. And I didn't get any of that. I just went to my channel and logged in, and it said I was no longer part of the YouTube partner program, which meant I was no longer making money. And no explanation, no nothing. And so I knew there had to be a mistake. Something was going on. So I immediately reached out to YouTube. The person I talked to at YouTube says, I can't answer this for you. I'm going to escalate it to somebody else. They escalated it up the food chain. I spent a very sleepless night Friday night wondering whether I had just lost everything I had built over the last 5 years, thinking that I was done for as a YouTube content creator. I woke up Saturday morning to a message from YouTube apologizing, saying it was a glitch. It wasn't supposed to happen. It was a mistake on our part. We're fixing it. You'll be back up soon. And by Saturday afternoon, I was back up and running. But I lost a day and a half of revenue, which on the surface doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's a huge deal. It was a significant amount of money because this last week, my channel's been doing really, really well with some of the recent videos that I had. So growth and views and watch time. this past week was one of the best weeks I had had for revenue on my channel in the last year and a half. And so to lose even a day and a half of that was still pretty significant, but it did get all worked out and we are back up and running again. So, so you said, my God, I'm 3 hours late to the live. You can watch the whole thing. All of my live streams stay live on the channel and you can go back and watch them later. So, hey, don't be that guy. Sorry, I'm late. Did I rub it into Mr. Terry's face? No, I'm not going to rub it in. I'm hoping Mr. Terry hits it real soon. I'm excited for him to hit 500,000. Listen, we are not competitors. We are all fans of each other. And I love to see my friends do really well. I'm glad my friend Metatron just hit 1 million. My friend JD just hit 750,000. My friend Matt Beat went over 1 million not too long ago. I love seeing success from people who have worked hard and put in the effort to create quality content. Yes, Kentucky Lady will be on the new album that I'm working on. It's a song that my grandfather wrote. It's my favorite song. It was a song my grandfather wrote about his dad, the same dad I talked about earlier, my great grandfather. It's called Kentucky Lady, and it's about my great grandfather's fervent desire to someday return to Kentucky, and he never did. He died at the age of 63, and is buried just a few miles from me here in Ohio. And it's about a true story when he was in Boston interviewing for a job. And it's a song my grandfather wrote when I was just a baby. He wrote it late 70s. The chorus of it goes, Kentucky lady, with your mountains and your streams, where bluegrass still grows so thick and tall in all of my dreams. Kentucky lady, I'm on my way back to you. Where stars fill the sky, love fills the night, dreams can come true. If you go to VTH Extra, I played it on my guitar and sang it. And I'm tearing up a little bit because I miss my grandfather a lot. I wish he could have seen this. My grandfather loved history. And he did know that I was going to be on the History Channel when he died. But he died before I actually got the go-ahead and actually recorded it. But he knew it was coming. And he would be absolutely loving all of this. He would be so proud of all of this. And I can't wait to tell him all about it when I see him. Sorry. Not how I planned to end the stream, but all the best of who I am came from them. My grandparents were incredibly kind people, incredibly gracious, loving people who loved history, who loved music, who were incredibly talented, who were not perfect, but all the good things in my life I have and I am because of them. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did see Matt's videos about the time capsules. He actually texted me about the time capsule at the school before he did that. So that was really cool. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to do that. I'll record that one for sure. But I think if Israel was never created or at least set up somewhere else in the world, would the Middle East be at peace right now? No. Because guess what? Do you know who else really doesn't get along with people in the Middle East? Other people in the Middle East. When I was in Egypt, I heard the same thing over and over and over again from Egyptians. They actually prefer the Israelis to the Palestinians in Egypt. And I think other people feel that way too. Basically, and I can't speak for everyone, obviously, but the people I talked to in Egypt about this were like, Israel, you know what? Whatever. We ignore them. We leave them alone. They leave us alone. They're there. That's fine. Palestinians, those people are nuts. They're angry and we want nothing to do with them. And listen, I'm not telling you that's who Palestinians are. I'm just telling you that's what I was told when I was in Egypt. That's the way Egyptians that I talked to view that situation. That's why they don't want Palestinians in crossing their border. I really don't think that Israel not being there would make things all that different in that region, honestly. And yeah, Egyptians don't like Saudis either. You're right. 100% true. They were equally terse in their views on Saudis when I talked to them. It's not just Palestinians. They don't like Libyans. They don't like the Sudanese. They're basically like, yeah, we're surrounded by people that are nuts and we don't like any of them, is basically what I was told when I was there. American Nerd, VTH. I wouldn't go that far. There are some amazing history YouTubers out there, but I appreciate that. And we are caught up with the super chat. So I'll stick around for a few more minutes here and just read, kind of catch up on the regular chat here. Yeah. You know what? It's so true when people talk about a new normal, right? You know, when things like that happen in your life, losing a brother, losing a parent, losing a child, as we talked about earlier, you're never the same. You just adjust to how things are different. And I'll never forget the first time I'd heard people say stories that this kind of stuff happened, but I'll never forget the first time I went to call my grandfather, because we also had a passion for sports. And we watched a lot of the big sports events together. We watched the Cavs win the championship together. I was at his house with my wife and kids watching that unfold. And I'll never forget the first time I grabbed my phone to call him because something really cool happened with one of our teams that we support. And then I had to remember that I couldn't. So that kind of stuff is like the new normal, right? You know, it's different. VTH caught up with the super chats. This is cursed. Yes, you're right. Tea, coffee, or energy drink? Energy drink. I drink an apple Monster every morning. That is my wake up in the morning drink. I just drink the one. But yeah, that's my drink at the beginning. What sparked my love for history? I talk about this all the time. It was two things. It was the discovery of the Titanic in 1985, and it was Ken Burns' documentary on the Civil War. Those were the things. I watch every single West Brom match, every one. So yeah, I've been keeping up with them. You would have seen actually in my in the slideshow I showed earlier, one of the pictures was me with Jed Wallace, who's the captain of West Brom. Awesome guy. I had a great chat with him. My friend Rob and I met him. I can tell why he's the captain. Really engaging, super interesting, very intelligent. I liked him a lot when I talked to him. Didn't mean to make you cry. I've listened to it so many times on VTH Extra and always wanted to. Yeah, the professional version is coming. The music's done. I've recorded all the music for it. I just got to do the vocals, and now I'll be getting that microphone to do the vocals. So, how tall am I? I am 5'10". My son, my eldest of my two sons, is 6'3". So there you go. I'm probably now I'm a little shorter, and I have lordosis in my back, which when I don't regularly go to the chiropractor, makes me about a quarter inch shorter as well. So I'm probably more like 5'9 3/4. All right, we're gonna wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much. I apologize to those of you who's I didn't get to your comments, but I'm a Browns fan, Killian. But thank you so much for being a part of this incredible journey, for being a part of this stream tonight, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.